From Arkwright Stadium on another glorious Friday evening, it's game number 2 of the 1999 Wadsworth Grizzly football season. Hi again, everybody. John Bernard along with Larry Varner once again. And tonight, it's the 1-0 Cuyahoga Falls Black Tigers coming in to play the host Wadsworth Grizzlies, who are also 1-0. Last weekend, Friday, the Wadsworth Grizzlies defeated the Barberton Magics 35-13, and the Falls down to Elyria 35-6. Last year, these two clubs met at Cuyahoga Falls, and the Falls prevailed by a final score of 35-6, and it should be an exciting game tonight, Larry.
Yeah, Cuyahoga Falls, when you talk about them, you talk about offense. Last week, their running back, Scott Froelich, ran for over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns against Elyria. But one of the things the Wadsworth coaches are worried about is quarterback Matt Thompson. He's a move-in, and he led his Arizona high school team to the state championship last year. So they're going to have to worry about him. As far as receiving is concerned, the big receiver is the tight end Jim Lipinski, number 15, catches a lot of balls on drag patterns over the middle. Cuyahoga Falls won the toss, and Wadsworth will be kicking off to the Falls, and we're ready to go.
Sam Galpert, end-over-end kick, caught at the 15-yard line, and a hole up the middle is found by Craig Meganhart, a 160-pound senior, and Falls will start with the ball at about their own 38.
Well, last week, the Wadsworth special teams did an outstanding job. There were 7 kickoffs for Wadsworth, and the ball never came out past the 35-yard line, and that was on a kick that went out of bounds. I don't think that Barberton started beyond their 30 when they actually received the ball, so the special teams have done a good job. But let's see if they emphasize the pass or the run on the first play here for Cuyahoga Falls.
And there's a fumble recovered by, we can't see yet. Referee's going to indicate that the Tigers will keep the ball.
It was lost of about 2 yards on the play. It's interesting that last week the Falls beat Elyria 35-6, but Elyria turned the ball over, I think, 4, maybe 6 times, and one of them was a fumble in the end zone. So the Falls defense is a little bit suspect because even though Elyria didn't score many points, they did manage to move the ball. I think this is going to be one of those games, whoever gets the ball last is going to win. Second and about 14 for the Falls.
Matt Thompson, the quarterback for the Black Tigers, scrambles out of a sack, gets across the 40, to the 45, falls down at midfield for a Cuyahoga Falls first down.
Tony Moeller made a shoestring tackle on that and hit the quarterback Thompson just enough that he stumbled forward and then came down. And this is the dimension that wasn't talked about like in the Beacon Journal article and the Gazette article, the fact that they've got a very good quarterback in there.
Matt Thompson, a 6'3", 170-pound senior quarterback. And in the backfield, number 20, Scott Freilich, the junior tailback. He scored 4 touchdowns and ran for 211 yards on 24 carries last week against Elyria. The offensive line for the Falls jumps.
And the Wadsworth defense right now is caught in a little bit of a bind because they don't know whether to defense primarily the run and give them the passing game or defense the passing game and give them the run. So as the game progresses, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not the Wadsworth defense plays up tight to concentrate on the run or decide to go after the quarterback and play it a little looser and stop that. So that'll be a 1st and 15 for the Falls.
The quarterback, Matt Thompson, this is his first year at the helm for the Falls because, Larry, the Falls did not return a player who threw even 1 pass last season. So this is his first year at quarterback as a senior. High formation to give play action. Thompson rolling to the right, dumps it off to number 15, Lipinski. Lipinski, Larry mentioned, the tight end, very athletic for the Falls.
He just caught the ball and ran out of bounds. It was a good pass, and it picked up about 10 yards. It's going to leave him with a 2nd down and 10, but that was a very good play.
45, Tony Moeller in on the end for the Grizzlies. Black Tigers pick up about 6 yards.
Something of interest, Cuyahoga Falls is a Division I team, and if Wadsworth is looking on down the road to make the playoffs, these are the games they have to win, the first 3 games. They beat Barberton, a Division II team, last week. Here's the Falls Division I. If they could manage to beat this team, they'd be in good shape for the playoff picture.
And off to Freilich. He powers over the 40-yard line in Wadsworth territory. He's at about the 37.
Jeff Dietrich made the tackle, and it's going to be close to a 1st down. Referees are looking it over. No signal yet. Now they're signaling first down for the Falls, so that's their second first down on this drive.
The Tigers will advance the ball on the ground. Fralick, the junior running back, quick and very durable, and he seems to get stronger as the game goes on. The Grizzlies had watched some film this week on him, and they will be keying on him. The Falls completed only 3 passes last week.
Well, maybe they didn't have to complete anymore.
The give is to Fralick. Ran up the middle and into a wall of Grizzlies.
Falls running out of the I formation with Fralick as the wingback.
Greg Dent on the tackle there for Wadsworth, junior linebacker.
Some of the linemen for Wadsworth that did a good job last week. Evan Gosser did a real good job, and Ian Formas also for the defense as far as the Grizzlies were concerned. Of course, some of his players play both ways. Up here from the booth, it's kind of hard to pick up who the linemen are that are doing the job, but those two did a good job last week.
Play action. Pass is downfield and caught by Craig Meganhart. Nice rollout pass by Matt Thompson to Craig Meganhart, senior.
I didn't see Meganhart. I think he came out of the backfield on that. We can watch this on replay. I can't see 35. But when the quarterback rolled to his left, Meganhart came wide open, and had the ball been thrown just a little bit better, he could have walked into the end zone because there were no Wadsworth defenders near him. So the Falls is looking very impressive on this. That was a 27-yard pass play.
Only Jake McIlvain there to stop him from running in the end zone.
So that brings up a first down, and they're calling it 9 on the 9-yard line.
9:10 left, first period. Fralick tried to step around the right end, and he was tackled by Jake Wilhite, the outside linebacker for the Grizzlies.
There's a good open field tackle by Jake. Picked up maybe 2 yards, so that is going to bring up, no, they're spotting it on the 5, so that's going to bring up a 2nd and 5 on the 5.
Substitutions for the Falls.
Looks like that the Falls is going with a full house backfield to get more blocking up the middle. And here they come out, and you see the 3 backs in the backfield. It's a power eye right.
Pass play. Thompson in trouble, has to get rid of it in the corner of the end zone. It's caught for a Black Tiger touchdown. That was number 15, Jim Lipinski.
That was Lipinski, who came out as a tight end and just ran the drag pattern right across the back of the end zone, and the Wadsworth defensive backs couldn't keep up with him. And I'm going to tell you, John, we'll watch this on replay. There's a quick fake by the quarterback right there to keep everybody honest, and then he's looking over there for Lipinski, and Lipinski just comes right across the field, and that's an easy 6 points.
Matt Delnos looked like he committed a little early there. He might have been able to get a hand on the quarterback.
The kicker for the Falls,
Mark Sabino, puts it up and in, makes it 7-0. Cuyahoga Falls with 8:22 left first quarter.
Last week when the Cuyahoga Falls had 7 kickoffs against Elyria, none of them were returned. Every one was put in the end zone. And I'll tell you, Cuyahoga Falls made that one look pretty easy. So let's see what Wadsworth can do on offense and see if they can come back and match the score.
Last week, Barberton came right out, scored early, and Wadsworth took over from there in a dominating win for the Grizzlies. And of course, their passing game is what does it for them. Mike Hoover doing a great job of spreading the ball around. He has an array of targets on the field, and Chris Brink, Adam Copeland, and the Benz, Bugis, and Osterland. And Larry, with 79 yards passing tonight, Mike Hoover will break Rob Sondel's career record at Wadsworth High School.
Well, if he stays healthy, I think that Hoover's going to break every passing record at the school, and probably Adam Copeland's going to break every receiving record. You hit on something really important. What Hoover does is such a good job of finding his secondary and even his third receivers. He does spread the ball around. Very good at that. So let's see if the Falls kicker can put the ball in the end zone this time.
And surprisingly, the Grizzlies came out with still a potent running game against Barberton. Matt Ford running for over 100 yards, and Falls can't gear up to stop that run because that'll open up the passing game and vice versa.
Yeah, it's the same old story. You know, good passing game sets up your running game. Good running game sets up your passing game. If you can keep everybody concerned about Hoover, then Ford is going to get those yards.
The Grizzlies have had a running back gain at least 100 yards in 6 straight games and 24 of their last 31 regular season contests. Sabino's kick is all the way to the end zone and in and out of the hands of Joe Tricomi. Wadsworth will start at the 20.
Well, like I was just saying, the kicker's kicked the ball out of the end zone every time he's kicked off so far. In high school, there's a rule that you cannot return a kickoff that is kicked into the end zone. So it isn't like one of those deals where you can field the ball 2 yards deep and come out. Once you field the ball in the end zone, that's where you're stuck. So let's see what Wadsworth can do their first series of downs, see if they can push it downfield and tie this game up.
Mike Hoover, senior quarterback. My formation is Joe Tricomi and Greg Denton at fullback. Hoover started to go right, steps up, passes it off to Ben Vugis for a completion across the 30-yard line.
That was a nice play to Vugis as you see him coming out and Osterlund coming in. They'll do that a lot tonight. They alternate their wide receivers.
Well, they run plays in from the sideline.
Using the wide receivers. Yeah. Keep an eye on Copeland, 83 at the bottom of your screen, and Chris Brink, the tight end at the top. They're the two, really, the prime receivers.
Pitch to Joe Tricomi, tries to get around the right, takes it down to about the 36 of Wadsworth. Second down.
Looks like it's going to be a pickup of about 4 yards. If we get a minute, we ought to talk about this new Art Wright Stadium that we're in. This is the first time we've been in the new press box. And it is quite an impressive facility, let me tell you. If you're not here tonight, you ought to come. The next home game is against Revere. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Hoover in the shotgun. Both backs on either side of him. And flags fly.
I'm sure that's going to be against Wadsworth. It's an illegal motion penalty against Wadsworth, so that'll bring it back and bring up a second down and about 12 yards to go. First penalty for Wadsworth tonight. I was impressed with Wadsworth last week, how few penalties they had for a first game of the season. Back in the shotgun once again.
Wadsworth 7 penalties, I think, Larry, against Barberton. Hoover steps back, now steps up, has to run with the ball, and he's brought down just across the 30.
That might be a pickup of 1 or perhaps 2 yards, and it's going to bring up a 3rd and 11. Wadsworth did have that many penalties, but a lot of them were meaningless penalties when the game was pretty much locked up when they were playing the 2nd and 3rd team. They come out really cooking at the beginning of the game.
I wanted to mention, Larry, we have Jeff Jenkins on the sideline tonight as our sideline reporter. If he has any interesting tidbits, you'll hear about it.
And that's new this year for WCTV, a wireless mic on the field. We hope that works out for you fans.
Hoover going to roll to his left, has plenty of room, finds who just looked like he was interfered with, and the referees are not going to call it. He got bumped early.
It sure looked that way to me. That could have gone either way. I don't know if we have this on replay or not, but you decide. Here comes Hoover rolling to his left and throws the ball. Now watch this. That looks like a hit before the ball got there, but the referees didn't see it that way. So now we're going to have a punt. And here on Wadsworth Cable Television, we tell you not only the hang time, but also how high the ball goes in the air.
Tony Moeller back to punt for the Grizzlies. Gets off a nice one. And it's fielded by John Lehner. And he's got room all the way down the far side of the field. He's going to run in for a Falls touchdown. John Lehner, 60-yard return on the punt.
Well, I'll tell you, this is not looking too auspicious for Wadsworth right now, down 14-0 with only 6 minutes gone in the game. So they're going to have to... Falls on to try the extra point. That punt had a hang time of 3 seconds and went 38 feet in the air, but you saw what happened after the ball was received. I think we got a timeout on the field. Timeout Wadsworth. They were late in getting their personnel on the field lined up for the extra point, so they called a timeout. So this is not a particularly good start tonight for the Grizzlies. But while we got a minute, we can tell you what you've been waiting all week to find out. I'm sure you were all wondering what happened last week to the Shelby Whippets. Well, I have some very bad news for you. Shelby Whippets played the Castalia Margaretta Purple Polar Bears and were defeated 36-20. So it's not a good start for the Shelby Whippets, but hopefully they can get their act together tonight. They're playing at home against a very tough Lexington team. So next week we'll let you know how the Whippets do against Lexington. Well, we got a timeout here. Might want to take a look at what the other teams are doing, Wadsworth's other opponents. Barberton is playing at Norton, and you can pretty well figure that Barberton is going to rebound from last week, and I would hate to be a Norton football player tonight. Next week, Wadsworth plays at Medina, and they are playing Cloverleaf tonight at home, and you would have to figure Medina to win that one. Oh, almost blocked. And there's a penalty down, and I think it's going to be roughing the kicker on Wadsworth.
Man 4 ran in, tried to block the kick. That kick will be good, and it's 14-0.
And that kickoff, the penalty will be assessed on the kickoff, so the Falls will be kicking off from the 50-yard line. And that's a 15-yard penalty. Of course, the way the Falls kicker has been kicking the ball in the end zone, it doesn't really matter where they kick off from. Continuing on with what the other team's Wadsworth players are doing, Revere is playing at Drexel. That should be a very good game, but you have to figure Revere's going to win that one. No, I'm sorry, Revere's playing at North Welton, not Drexel. Green is playing at North Canton, and that could be a big game for Green. If they win that one, they've got playoff hopes. But on the other hand, North Canton is a very good team. As we indicated, Norton and Barberton are playing each other. Talmadge is playing at Springfield. You would expect Springfield to have not too difficult a time there. Highland is playing Buckeye. Could be a good game, but I think Highland will win that. Cloverleaf, as we said, is at Medina. And finally, Copley is playing Twinsburg. And as we know, Copley is really loaded, so you would expect Copley to win that game.
There you see on your screen for scores, standings, and the schedule. Grizzly TV online. Right there you see it. Yeah, the referee started marking off that penalty against Cuyahoga Falls, and I was thinking, oh, what's going on here? Then he moved it back the other way, and the kickoff will come from the 45-yard line. Now there's some confusion because the Cuyahoga Falls team is lining up like they're going to kick it from the regular spot, and the referee is standing with the ball on the Wadsworth 45-yard line. So Falls still hasn't realized that they're been excess 15 yards. Here they come up now to the ball. Well, this one should definitely go in the end zone.
Or this would be a great place for an onside kick. You might figure Wadsworth is a little down right now. 2 touchdowns being scored that fast. He might just try to squib the ball down there and try to recover it. Because the way this kid is kicking, he could kick the ball over the scoreboard from there.
The series between these two teams resumed in 1990, and Wadsworth has won 5 of the 9 games since 1990, but Cuyahoga Falls leads the series overall. 18 wins, 7 losses, 1 tie. There's the onside kick. Good call, Larry, and there's a pile up between the 25 and 30-yard line.
I'll tell you, the Falls should have recovered that ball on the first bounce because they were there and Wadsworth wasn't. And what happened is the person who tried to dive on the ball actually booted it forward about 5 yards into the Wadsworth defenders, and that's where the Wadsworth players fell on the ball. As far as Mr. Thompson is concerned, the quarterback, he's already 3 for 3 for 43 yards and is looking 2 touchdowns, looking very, very impressive. So Wadsworth has got to get something going here. It could start to be a very, very long night for the Grizzlies.
Hoover hands it off to Tricome. Finds a hole, gets away from one tackler, and he's finally brought down by John Lehner.
A nice 13-yard run by Tricome. Hit the hole nice and then busted to the outside. Real nice run. And I think that's the thing that Wadsworth has to do right now. They've got to assert themselves and say, hey, we're still in this ball game. It's only the first quarter. We got a long way to go. We're not going to fold right here. So what they need more than anything else is a good sustained drive down the field and pick up a few points.
Hoover, short drop back, turns around, pass to Copeland at midfield. It'll be a short gain, and it's a late hit by Cuyahoga Falls.
I think they're going to call that a hit out of bounds. It was obvious that Copeland was wrapped up, and the Falls defender kept tugging, and threw him down. In fact, he might have hit him out of bounds. We'll see what they call. Certainly going to be a completed pass. It's going to be a first down for Wadsworth. Personal foul. That's all they're saying, personal foul. That's the second penalty against the Falls. This one's going to be for 15 yards. So they've had 20 yards in total penalties. So that puts Wadsworth in real good shape. The ball's going to be on about the 34-yard line, 1st and 10.
5:49 remaining, first period. Hoover hands off to Joe Tricomi. Takes it to the 31 of the Falls.
That'll be a pickup of about 2 and bring up a 2nd down and 8. But with Wadsworth's offense, you got to figure if the coaches want to look at it that way, they're in 4-down territory right now. So they've got 3 more cracks to get the ball. So far, Hoover's 2 for 3 for 19 yards. Wadsworth has 3 first downs so far.
This Falls team, Larry, always reloading. They have won or shared a season title 4 times in the past 7 years. 92 and 94 in the Metro League and 97-98 in the Western Reserve Conference South, which they are still in now. Last year, a record of 6-4, 4-1, tied for first in their league.
Wadsworth spread all over the place with 3 wide receivers to the right, but
out of
threw the ball
backfield.
left to Joe Tricomi, who couldn't hang on to the ball. The Falls have got a good team. I think they're picked along with Ravenna to be the Western Reserve South Conference Championship, the preseason favorite anyhow.
8 returning starters, 4 on each side of the ball for the Falls.
It was an interesting formation where they sent all the receivers out to the right and then threw back to the running back on the left, but Tricomi couldn't hang on. Tried a little counterplay there.
Matt Four, the ball carrier there.
And that's going to bring up a 4th down and about 6 on the 30-yard line. And this is the first big play of the game for Wadsworth. What do you do 4th and 6 on your own 30? They're not going to punt. They're not going to try this long a field goal, so they'll go for it and see what we get.
Hoover, short drop back. Tries a little turnaround pass to Copeland through his hands, turns over to Falls.
Well, Copeland ran a nice pattern. He had the first down, but the ball was just thrown a little bit too high. So the Falls is going to take over 1st and 10 on the 30-yard line.
Thompson gives it to Freilich. He gains a few yards out to the 34.
I think one of the things the Wadsworth coaches were afraid of this week was the big play. They wanted, if the Falls to score, that they would have to work for it. And that punt return for the touchdown was one of the things that they did not want. I think they're going to tell the Wadsworth players, just don't give up the big play. But so far, quite frankly, the Falls has been doing pretty much whatever they wanted to do.
Another give to Freilich, and boy, does he run hard. Takes it almost to the 40-yard line.
That should be enough for a first down for the Falls. Nope, they're marking it just short, so it's going to bring up a 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1 on the 39, and the referees are calling a timeout. I guess it's timeout for a measurement. So far, some stats for Cuyahoga Falls. Freilich has 5 carries, and he's rushed for 12 yards and 2 first downs. Thompson 3 for 3, 43 yards. And the Falls had 2 penalties for 20 yards. This will be our first measurement of the night.
By calling them for all your heating and cooling needs. Thank you.
And I think the Falls is going to be just short. So that's going to bring up 3rd and inches on a, or just short of the 40-yard line. Yeah, the referee's indicating about 6 inches to go.
4 inches for a Black Tiger first down. Ball spotted on pass of the ball, 39.5-yard line.
Coach Don Ross in his 9th year with the Black Tigers. Lost their starting quarterback and tailback, who were both pretty big stars last year for the Falls.
Because something you might want to look for here is for the Falls to go on a long count to try to draw Wadsworth offside and pick up the 1st and 10 that way. So let's see what happens. Quarterback's under center. No. Quick count, and
Falls quarterback Thompson just weasels his way as the Falls line pushes him forward for the 1st down.
Quarterback sneak there. No long count. So once again, Cuyahoga Falls just seems to be having their own way with Wadsworth, and I hope Wadsworth can fairly soon come up with something to stop this. In fact, a turnover would look real good right now, because we're down to 3:20 in the 1st quarter, and Wadsworth hasn't done anything at all, offensively or defensively, and they need some kind of spark to get them back in the game.
Fake handoff to Freilich, and Thompson runs around the right side, down to midfield.
He was not looking to run the ball. He was looking downfield to throw, but the receivers were all covered, so he tucked the ball and picked up a good chunk of yardage. Picked up about 7 yards, so it's going to bring up a 2nd and 3. You can see Thompson coming around here. He is looking downfield now. This is not just an automatic run, and here he decides, I'm just going to tuck it in and go. Like I say, he picked up about 7 yards on the play.
2nd and 3, ball on the 49. 3 minutes left first period. Back to the I formation with Mike Cole, the fullback, and he gets the give.
Might have picked up about 2 yards on that. Depends on where they spot it. Now they're putting it a 1-yard pickup, so it's going to bring a 3rd down and 2 on the 42-yard line. And for all the success the Falls has had, that's one place they haven't had success, is running the ball up the middle.
Mike Cole, also a junior in the backfield, along with junior Scott Freilich. Third and 2. Wadsworth showing a blitz. And that ball's run up the middle
Tailback number 20,
by Scott Freilich.
Greg Dent made the tackle, but there was an opening right at the line of scrimmage that Freilich squirted through, and then he was in the backfield and picked up more than enough for a 1st down. So it's going to be 1st and 10, Falls on the 41-yard line of Wadsworth. You know, their place kicker has not kicked a field goal this year. Of course, with all the touchdowns they scored, he didn't have to. But it's interesting, if he can put the ball into the end zone from the 40 every time, what his range is, you might see him kicking 45-yard field goals.
Long pass downfield, out of the reach of Megan Hart, who scored the 1st touchdown for the Falls.
Thompson had all the time in the world, and Megan Hart was relatively open, but what he did, he threw the ball over the wrong shoulder. Megan Hart was looking inside, and the ball went outside, and it was an incompleted pass. That's going to bring up a 2nd down and 10 for the Falls.
Boot pass again for the Falls. Thompson's going to have to run with it. He does, and he's finally tackled at the 37. Chris Brink and Evan Gosser there on the tackle.
That makes 25 yards rushing for Thompson, most of it on scrambles. Wadsworth defense had some good pressure on him, but he just managed to elude the blitz that was coming back and scamper to the outside for 5 yards. So that's going to, no, 4 yards. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 6. See what they call here. Got a minute 15 to go in the 1st quarter.
Jeff Sharnsky and Seth Stone, both offensive linemen and seniors, doing a fine job for the Falls.
That should be delay a game against the Falls. I think they took an awful long time to get the ball in play. See what the refs call. That's their third penalty against the Falls for 25 yards. I didn't see the call, John. What was it? Must have been delay a game. Delay a game. So that'll bring up a little better, 3rd and 11 for the Falls.
5-yard penalty brings it up to 3rd down. Now it's 10 for the Black Tigers first down.
Wadsworth not as sharp on defense tonight as they were last Friday night.
Well, they're facing a much better quarterback. That's one thing. And the quarterback for Barberton had not taken a varsity snap, I believe, until that. Here's another penalty flag down. And I think this is going to be a motion penalty on the Falls. For all of a sudden, they're going the wrong direction.
Well, I mentioned earlier, this quarterback, he hadn't taken a varsity snap till the first game last week.
Except he won the Arizona State Championship out there. So that kind of a little bit different than never taking one, never know how, no way. So that's 2 consecutive 5-yard penalties on the Falls, and it's going to bring up now a 3rd down and 15.
And they get on 3rd down and 15. The ball spotted up Wadsworth, 46-yard line.
Pitch to Freilich. Cuts around the left end, but he is met there by Matt Four, who brings Freilich down behind the line.
I'm going to tell you, not only did Matt Four do a good job of bringing him down, the way he fought off that block was excellent. You can watch the pitch here. Now, Four is actually blocked. He's being blocked to the outside. I think Freilich makes a poor decision trying to turn outside. He should have cut inside right into Four's arms, and that takes care of that. So Cuyahoga Falls is going to have to punt the ball, and we'll try to tell you hang time and how high in the air the ball goes.
Quarterback, Matt Thompson, stays in, punts it. It's a nice one. Tricomi catches, gets a good block, makes a cut back to the middle of the field. He's hit hard, bounces off the defender, and he's finally tackled at the Wadsworth 32.
Well, finally, Wadsworth has something to cheer about. That was a really nice run back, 22-yard punt run back, and he brings the ball actually back to where Cuyahoga Falls would have had to go to get a 1st and 10. We didn't get the time on that kick for you, so try her next time.
First and 10 Wadsworth, ball on the 33, last play of the first quarter. Hoover gonna pass a nice slant pattern run by Copeland, and he was interfered with, it looked like.
I think they're going to call interference. You wouldn't think that Copeland would have pushed off. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Well, I'll tell you, that wasn't as much interference as the one they didn't call on the other play, but the referees are talking it over. I'll tell you, Wadsworth might take this penalty because in high school ball, interference is a 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage, I believe. And the pickup there was only about 10 yards, so don't be surprised if they take the penalty and move it 5 yards further downfield. There's the interference call on Cuyahoga Falls.
Greg Megenhart was the one that wrapped up Copeland a little early on that play.
And they're going to mark off 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. So that was the last play of the quarter. So we'll start out the second quarter with Wadsworth having a 1st and 10 on about their own 48-yard line. Yeah, that's where they're going to mark it.
At the end of one, 14-0 Falls.
See if we got some first quarter stats for you. First of all, as far as Wadsworth is concerned, except for that last first down, which isn't on the stats, Mike Hoover, 2 for 5 for 19 yards and 3 first down. Joe Tricomi is rushed for 19 yards. I don't have the numbers on Matt Four. As far as the Falls are concerned, Thompson was 3 for 4 for 43 yards. Freilich had 6 rushes for 19 yards, but I think he's got more than that now. 4 first downs. And they said, what, the quarter couldn't stop on a penalty on the offense, right? So they had to run that play even though there was no time on the clock. So Wadsworth picked up about 2 yards on that.
Tony Moeller in at fullback carried that ball. And that's now the end of the first. You see the score.
up there on the screen or the score, Cuyahoga Falls 14, Wadsworth nothing, that certainly isn't what you want to see at the end of the first quarter. To recap, Falls came out, took the opening kickoff, pretty much marched down the field. Nice touchdown pass to the tight end for the score. And then that punt run back to 60 yards to the other big score. And Wadsworth really hasn't managed to do much on offense or on defense.
At the end of the first, our sideline reporter, Jeff Jenkins, has something for you.
Hey, John, Jeff down on the field. The emotions really taking down here. Grizzlies came out pumped up. Falls came...
Having a little trouble with our remote mic on the field. We'll have to bring you that later. So Wadsworth will have a second down, 8 yards to go on the 50-yard line to start the second quarter.
Quarterback draw. Hoover could get nowhere as the Falls read the play nicely.
Actually picked up about 2 yards to bring up a 3rd and 6. That was one thing last week against Barberton. Wadsworth showed, no, I don't want to call them trick plays because they're not trick plays, but fancy plays at all, because they didn't have to. Now, you know there's a lot of plays in Wadsworth's arsenal they haven't shown. I'm sure they've got that quarterback draw. I'm sure they've got ends around. I'm sure they've got screen plays. I'm sure they've got option pass plays. They didn't hand off to the fullback last week. You're going to see some of that now, I think, because they're going to have to beat the Falls.
And Peak is open downfield for Wadsworth. He's going to go in. Wadsworth Grizzly touchdown. Nice pass by Mike Hoover to Chris Brink.
That was a 46-yard pass play. And the thing that is so nice about Chris Brink is he's big enough to play tight end, and he's almost fast enough to be a wide receiver. When he caught that ball behind the defender, nobody was going to catch him. You're not going to catch him in the open field like that. That was just a beautiful play. A 43-yard touchdown from Hoover to Chris Brink. And now here comes Galpert to try the extra point. Galpert's perfect this year in extra points. He hasn't attempted a field goal yet. Hannah's holding.
6th extra point for Galpert on the season, and it's right there, making it 14-7 Wadsworth with 11:15 to go in the first half.
Things look a little brighter than they did 10 seconds ago.
Well, and those Hoover and his receivers have the ability to move the ball downfield rather quickly. In the closing moments of the first half against Barberton last week, Hoover led the team on a 10-play, 96-yard scoring drive that took only a minute 52.
You're not going to stop Wadsworth from scoring points, that's for sure. The way you're going to have to beat them is to score more points than they score. And as I indicated earlier on in the broadcast, even though that the Falls beat Elyria 35-6, it wasn't the defense that stopped Elyria. Elyria stopped themselves. So Wadsworth now shows that they can move the ball, and hopefully this is going to be a spark for the defense to rise up and let's stop this team, get the ball back, and carry on. So Galpert's going to be kicking off for Wadsworth, I'm sure. So far, Mike Hoover is 3 for 6, but he's got 72 yards and 1 touchdown to go along with those 3 receptions. Galpert teeing the ball up on the 40. You see the rest of the Grizzly huddle there.
Senior Craig Meganhart back deep for Falls to receive the kick. Galpert, hand in the air. And it's fielded by one of the up men. Finds a seam and plenty of running room. And he's finally drilled across midfield.
There was just no one there to stop the ball carrier. That's a 42-yard return. And credit Sam Galpert, he did not make the tackle, but he stood his ground and managed to slow the punt returner back, number 23, until help could get there. Now look at this, wide open, nobody there. The only person between him and the goal line is Galpert. Galpert to come into view right now, cause him to slow down, stutter step just a bit, and then the rest of the Grizzlies could catch up. But the Falls has a 1st and 10 on the Wadsworth 48.
Nate Stone on the tackle for the Grizzlies.
But still, you have to give Galpert credit for saving a touchdown on that.
Joe Franchino ran that punt back. Nice spin move. Another spin move by Freilich. He's still on his feet.
But he gained nothing. One of the problems with doing those spin moves, whenever you spin like that, you're vulnerable to losing the ball, because as you spin around, if somebody puts a helmet on the ball, that thing's going to come out. But it was a good try by Freilich, but to no avail. 2nd down and 10.
No gain on the play. It looks like 2nd down and 10 again for the Black Tigers.
So it looks like the special teams for Wadsworth, which played so well against Barberton, are kind of like letting everything down a little bit tonight.
Coach Dennison pleased with the special teams play against Barberton last week, rightfully so. Play action, fake, intercepted by Jeff Hanna in the defensive backfield. Turnover for Wadsworth.
There are great interceptions and there are not so great interceptions. That was a not so great interception. The ball was thrown right to Hanna. He was just standing there. It was almost like he was the receiver.
Well, it wasn't a bad interception. It was a bad pass.
It was a bad pass, right. He missed the receiver by about 5 yards to the inside, and Hanna was just there and took the ball. So we'll certainly take that one. And that's a big turnover. And let's hope Wadsworth, with this explosive offense of theirs, can capitalize on that one.
2 receivers at the top of your screen. High formation for the Grizzlies. Hoover's going to throw. Looking, still looking. Flags fly, and Hoover runs up the middle. Might be holding on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a holding penalty on Wadsworth. Whenever you get a flag coming in from the sideline, that 2 or 3 seconds after the ball's been snapped when the quarterback's running, you almost have to assume that it's holding. Holding penalty in high school is going to be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. And it looks like they threw it a little bit behind the line of scrimmage, so this is probably going to end up being maybe a 12-yard penalty. Oh, they're talking to the Wadsworth captain. Maybe this isn't holding. And the
ball's marching back.
I can't imagine what this is. See what they call.
Referee facing the other way. We can't see the motion he makes.
He called an illegal block on Cuyahoga Falls. It's interesting. You usually don't see that on a pass play. You usually see that downfield on running plays or kickoff returns, but not on a platform. That one really surprised me. 1st and 10 Wadsworth on the 45.
The run play made by Matt Ford, tried to run it up the gut.
Gained about 3 yards on the play. Here goes Ford. Ford's fort, if you will, is he can hit the open hole quickly. He isn't that big. He's not going to break all that many tackles.
But he's tough.
But he's tough. And he gets to the line of scrimmage really quick. And a lot of times, if you can break through that line, you'll find out if a linebacker is shifted out of position or a defensive back's going down the wide receiver, you got a lot of open field to run with. So that's what they like about Ford, how quick he hits the hole.
Hoover rolled out to his right. Same play they scored the touchdown on, and this time it's incomplete pass.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're taking Brink, the tight end, and just dragging him across the middle. But that time, he had defenders in front of him and in back of him. I'm not going to say it was lucky it wasn't intercepted, but it was certainly well covered. And even if he had caught the ball, that would have been 1st down. He would have had nowhere to run, unlike the touchdown where he came perfectly clean.
Important play here for the Grizzlies. 3rd and 7. 9:30 left in the 1st half. Hoover this time throwing. Pass intended for Matt Ford out of the backfield, and it's out of his reach and incomplete. Wadsworth will have to punt.
The ball was just thrown too low. Once again, we're going to try this to give you not only the hang time of the punt, but how high in the air it goes. Hopefully my stopwatch is working this time.
Moeller is the punt for the Grizzlies. Number 23, Joe Branchino, and number 30, John Lehner.
Remember the last time the Wadsworth punted was run back 60 yards for a touchdown. Hopefully that won't happen again.
Tony Moeller, 6 foot 212 junior. Punts it high. Fair catch called. And it's caught at about the 18-yard line by John Lehner, senior.
The hang time on that punt was 3.9 seconds, and the punt went 65 feet in the air. That was a really nice punt, particularly how high the punt went. But there's a penalty against Wadsworth.
Flag on the play, and
It was a 32-yard punt, but that doesn't tell the whole story. The hang time was so high, the Wadsworth defenders were back there waiting for the ball to come down. What are they calling on the penalty, John? Did you see that?
Referees talking with Jim Lipinski there, number 15 of the Falls.
I think they're calling illegal motion on Wadsworth, and what they were talking with, do they want to accept the penalty or take the ball where it is? And of course they're saying, we're going to bring the ball back, make them punt it over, because that ball was down inside the 20, and I think anytime you get the ball inside the 20, you're going to make them punt again.
Let's see if Moeller can boot another one.
That's the third penalty against Wadsworth. See how costly this one was, because they did pin the Tigers back pretty deep. Once again, we'll try giving you hang time and how high the punt goes.
Now John Lehner and Joe Franchino deep for the Falls to receive Moeller's punt. It's another high, nice kick. And it's fielded by a Falls player in and out of his hands.
Wadsworth says they have it
by the Falls.
The referees say no. Oh, that was a golden opportunity for Wadsworth, because the ball just ticked out of the receiver's hand, bounced in the air. There were like two Wadsworth players that had a shot at it, and they couldn't come up with the ball. It's a 32-yard punt. The hang time was 3.6 seconds, and that one went 54 feet in the air. But unfortunately, it just didn't bounce into the hands of the Wadsworth player. So Falls takes over at the first down and 10 on the 21-yard line.
Through the fingertips of John Lehner. Could have been a big advantage for Wadsworth. Now Freilich does his thing, makes a couple of great moves behind the line. Another flag is thrown.
That's going to be an illegal block on the Falls.
What a run, though.
That was a great run. It really was. I mean, he looked like he was stopped the line of scrimmage, broke a tackle, then he faked inside, faked outside, finally busted the outside, picked up what would have been about 15 yards. And I think the penalty came away. A clip, yeah, an illegal block against the Falls. I think it came away from the play. It didn't have anything to do with the run. So that was a very nice run by Freilich, but
negated by a penalty. 9 minutes to go, first half.
That's the 7th penalty against Cuyahoga Falls. This one's going to be a half the distance penalty, about 10 yards. So it should bring up a first down and 20 for the Falls, back on about the 10 or the 11-yard line. Falls been penalized 7 times for 40 yards now in the one half. Well, 7 penalties is quite a few for a whole game, so they're not behaving properly. Actually, they marked the ball from the spot of the foul, which was up a little further, and it results in the ball being on about the 13-yard line, so it's going to be a first and 17.
Freilich gets it, and Jake Karowski's there to wrap him up.
Jeff Dietschy is there on the play also. And that was one of the few times that they managed to stop him. But I said before, Falls isn't having a lot of success running at the Wadsworth line, running up the middle. It's when they go wide is when they're actually picking up the yardage. So that's going to bring up a second down, and it's going to be about, I would say, 16, 17 yards, and the ball is on the 13-yard line. 8 minutes and 28 seconds to play in the second quarter. If you joined us late, the Falls came out quick with 2 big touchdowns, long drive on their first possession, and then a punt return. Wadsworth scored on their first series in the second quarter.
Thompson rolling to his right, going to keep it himself, gets it to about the 20.
And that was only going to be about a 3-yard pickup, so Wadsworth will give you those down there. So that's going to bring up a third and about 11 on the 20-yard line. Watch this, he's running left, decides to cut the ball upfield, and who makes the tackle here? Number 19?
19 is Greg Dent.
There was somebody else on the bottom that I couldn't catch the number on that did a good job of stopping him too. So if Wadsworth can hang on here and not let the Tigers pick up a first down after the punt, they should get the ball in relatively good field position with a lot of time to go in the half and maybe tie this thing up.
3rd and 11. Thompson's going to pass, looking downfield, and he's brought down running forward. Nice leg tackle there by Matt Delnos.
Matt Delnos made the tackle. You got to give the defensive secondary of Wadsworth a lot of credit, because early on, he has all the time in the world to throw. Watch this, standing back there. Nobody. At this point, Delnos is on the ground. Then when he gets up and tries to run, Delnos had gotten up and made the tackle. So the Falls is going to have to punt from their own 20-yard line, and Wadsworth could get the ball in excellent field position We've got Tacomi and Vujis back to receive the punt for Wadsworth, and they're inside the 50-yard line.
Nice job by senior Matt Delnos there, staying aware of where the ball is, getting up quickly. Tacomi gets a couple of blocks, and he's tackled by Paul Jessen, a junior for the Falls. And Wadsworth will have great field position and try to tie the ball game up.
It was a 25-yard punt and about a 12-yard, 13-yard return. So Wadsworth has the ball on the 33-yard line. And the nice thing about this, John, they're already in 4-down territory down there at the 33-yard line. So this is Wadsworth's big opportunity to get right back into this ball game and tie her up.
Two receivers left of the line. Fake handoff to 4. Hoover has all kinds of room, but he's going to throw it into the end zone. And the pass was intended for Ben Vujis. It was just inbounds in the end zone.
Well, I think that Hoover showed you what a rocket he's got for an arm there. He was rolling left and through right and just threaded a clothesline down there. It was just out of the reach of Vujis. And that, I think, was a wake-up call to the fall secondary. We can and we will go deep if we want to. Right now, Hoover has 72 yards passing.
Give to 4. Breaks an open field run, and he's taken into the end zone. Nice run by Matt 4.
The move that he made at about the 20-yard line is about one of the finest moves you'd ever hope to see. That's a 33-yard touchdown yard for 4. He busted through at the line of scrimmage. Remember I told you people, he's very good at hitting the hole quickly. And then he started like he was going to the left, and when the flow of the defensive backs was heading that way, he made a cut back to the right that left everybody on the Falls defense just standing there. I sure hope we have that on replay, because that's one of the nicest open field runs I've ever seen.
Galpert's kick right there. Tie ball game with 6:29 to go in the first half. 14-14.
This is starting to remind me a little bit of the Barberton game, where Barberton came out, scored on a big play, and then Wadsworth kind of took over. Well, this time, the Falls had those two big plays, went up 14-0, and now Wadsworth has fought back to make this a game. And I hope this momentum keeps going, that the spark that both the offense and defense have shown carries on.
What a great run by the senior Matt 4, Larry. And if you pick team MVPs early in the season, mine's Matt 4. After a nice game against Barberton on both sides of the ball last week, he's showing signs of just being a great player all around this season for the Grizzlies.
Okay, he's only carried the ball 3 times, but he's got 38 yards, and that one was 33 yards, and the big touchdown. The other running back, Joe Tacomi, 3 carries for 19 yards, and I think Hoover's probably picked up a couple yards on scrambles too, but you're right that tonight 4 seems to be the ball carrier. So there we see Galpert teeing the ball up on the 40-yard line.
We have a new man deep for the Falls. It's Evan Perro, 165-pound senior.
Well, last kickoff, they managed to gain quite a few yards. They got up to about the 48-yard line. Hope that doesn't happen again.
Squib kick.
And that time the Wadsworth defenders are up to the task. I think on the bottom is number 4. That would be Steve Robertson made the tackle, I believe, for Wadsworth on that play.
Joe Franchino, the ball carrier.
They spot the ball on the 32, where the Falls is going to take over 1st and 10. So let's see now if the Wadsworth defense can keep this momentum up that the offense has generated. They stopped them last time. Let's see if we could have another stop. If they could stop them 3 and out here, Wadsworth would have time to go down and score again before the half, because we have 6:23 to go in the half.
Thompson scrambling, still running. Wadsworth having trouble defending.
Thompson showed quite a few moves of his own back there, because actually he was stopped right about the line of scrimmage. There's a fake handoff there, and this is obviously a roll right, and he's rolling out to the right, and really there's nobody in front of him right now. Looking downfield, doesn't see anything. Now, here's the first place right there where he manages to fake Jeff Hanna, then breaks to the outside, missed tackle there, and finally they managed to push him out of bounds. But he did pick up 9 yards on the play. He did a lot of running for not too many yards. He's 7 for 37 running after that particular play. All those have been on scrambles.
Freilich gets it, scampers around the end.
And a couple of very fine moves by Freilich there to get what he got out of it. He was tackled by Jake Wilhite, but he was actually stopped for no gain and would have brought up a 3rd down, but he made a couple nice moves to the outside, squirted around a bit to pick up the 5 yards. So that brings up a 1st and 10 for the Falls on the 45-yard line. Freilich now has 10 carries for 27 yards, so he isn't putting up the big numbers as far as the yardage is concerned, but I'll tell you, John, he's fun to watch. Unless you're a defensive back, then he's not much fun to watch at all.
Some very fancy footwork, faking out a lot of the Wadsworth defenders. The up back gets the ball this time. Mike Cole, the fullback for the Falls.
Jeff Dietrich was there to bring him down, but not until there was a pickup of about 4 or 5 yards. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 5 for the Falls. And now we're going to kind of start keeping an eye on the clock. 5:28 to go and counting in the second half. Cole, that's only the up back, it's only a 2nd carry for 5 yards. So they spot it. It looks like a 2nd and 5 for the Falls. Wadsworth looking pass all the way here.
Give to Freilich, puts the head down, tries to get through the line.
I was watching the Wadsworth defensive backs, and they were playing way off. I think they were looking for a pass on that. Of course, Falls tried to cross him up with the run, but the line had none of it. He might have picked up a yard, but it's going to bring up 3rd and either a long 4 or a short 5. So this is a big play for Wadsworth. If they can stop him here, get the ball back, the way Hoover and the offense work, they've got plenty of time to move the ball downfield. But, of course, first thing you got to do is stop him here.
Pressure put on by the Wadsworth defense on the quarterback makes him hurry, and the pass was a little short of the intended receiver. Nice job hurrying the quarterback there by Wadsworth defense.
Yeah, Chris Brink was in there. I don't know what that was supposed to be, if that was at the beginning of a screen pass being set up or when Thompson knew he was in trouble. He just turned and kind of threw the ball away. But whatever it was, it didn't work. And Wadsworth is going to get the ball back here. Got Ben Vujis back.
And Joe Tricomi.
Same 2 back as before.
Quarterback Thompson also doing the punting duties. Tricomi fields it. And he gains a little bit of yardage across the 25 of the Grizzlies. 4:08 left first half. Wadsworth with the ball.
Well, this is the point last week against Barberton where Wadsworth came out and ran almost a 2-minute offense to move the ball down the field. See if they can do it again this time. Referees are calling a timeout. So far, even though he's been involved in lots of plays and done lots of things, actually Thompson, the quarterback, is only 3 for 6 passing for 45 yards, and he has 1 interception. So he came out big on that first drive, but hasn't really done an awful lot since then. I don't know what the timeout was for. Looks like they're having some equipment problem down on the sideline with the down marker. The referees are working on that. Oh, the chain broke. That's what it is. It looks like the chain between the line markers broke. I don't know if you do something. What do you do with that? You have a new chain? Looks like they're bringing out a new chain. Okay, we'll put this one on here just like that. Nope, we'll take that one off. Let's try this one. Okay, that one looks pretty good. We'll put that on. Well, does that fit? Here, let me help. No, you do it. No, that's okay. You do it. Okay, you hold it. You put your thumb right there, and I'll get the string, and we'll tie it around, okay? No, that's going to fall off. Well, let's try it this way. No, here, can I help too?
Let me take my ring off.
Now we've got
here.
now 4 people. 4 hands will do it. That's all we need is 4 hands, okay? tighten that up there. Now a little bit this way.
A little tape.
A little bit that way. Here's one.
No,
Move that over there. No, let's go this way. No, that's right. Yeah, you go over there. That's where you want to put it. No, that gizmo. Yeah, that's the one that opened. Yeah. Yeah, we'd like to see a replay of this when we're done. Okay, now you put your hand over here, and I'll put my hand over there. And now we'll put our hands over there. No, that one. Yeah, that's the one, right? No, this one.
The referees are even making our signal there.
Gee, gang, you wouldn't think it would be this tough. It's just a chain, but I guess it is. No, we'll put it here. Yeah, that's it. There you go. Right there. That's the one. Okay, now let go of that little snap thing. Let go. Got to push a little further. A little bit more.
Players continue to stretch and wait patiently on the field.
Give it a good tug now. And we'll put that around there. Here, let me help you. Okay, I'll hold the pole. Oh, no, it came off again. Darn it.
Well, Larry, next week the Wadsworth Grizzlies will be at Medina. That game, of course, 7:30 p.m.
But I'll tell you the one I'm looking forward to. Of course, I'm looking forward to Medina. That should be a good game. The week after that, they play Revere here. And I'll tell you, folks, as I indicated, I hope you go see all the games, all the home games, all the away games. But if you want to mark down 2 to go see, one of them would be the Revere game in 2 weeks and the final game of the season on the 29th against Copley here, because those will probably be the 2 that determines what Wadsworth does in the Suburban League. And the referees are still working on that chain. I don't understand. I think maybe you ought to get John Madden and Ace Hardware here to fix that one.
Well, while we have a minute, Larry, we're sitting inside the new press box here on the west side of Artwright Stadium. Plenty of elbow room in here, plenty of beautiful electrical outlets for all our equipment. And the metal stands here stretch north to south, end zone to end zone, or goal line to goal line, I should say. And it's quite an improvement. And I guess that after this season, they're going to repair the old home side and put some new stands over there. And what they will have is concessions and locker rooms under each side.
It's going to be really nice, and we have a nice facility here too. I mean, like I say, wonderful facilities, good windows, good view. I think this press box is up about 70 feet. In fact, I think we have everything in here but a spare 10-yard line chain. So,
yeah,
but it is really quite an improvement. And if you people are not here, you haven't seen it, you ought to come down and take a look and realize that this is just the first step in the renovation. The referees now, I think, have the 10-yard line marker fixed, and we're ready to go.
And you know what I think fixed it, Larry?
What was that?
WCTV duct tape.
Duct tape. Let me tell you, the world could not survive without duct tape. I firmly believe that.
There,
Okay?
now here's the instant replay. There's some.
That's not duct tape.
That's actually.
That's adhesive tape.
That's like the tape they use to tape the players' ankles with. But I saw a hand reach in there with the infamous brown WCTV duct tape. Don't know if they used it or not, but it got in on the shot. Now Hoover, ready, rolling left. Out of the reach of Adam Copeland on the far side of the field. Second down, Wadsworth. 4 minutes left first half.
If you recall, I mean, because it was so long ago, Wadsworth had a 1st and 10 on the 27-yard line. Some stats so far. Hoover is 3 for 10 for 72 yards passing, 1 TV, and he's rushed twice for 3 yards. 4 has gained the most yards, 38 yards and 3 carries, 1 TD. Tricome, 3 rushes, 19 yards. He hasn't carried the ball in quite some time, and they're back in the shotgun again.
Lone receiver is Osterland, but Copeland runs that slant pattern well to the middle of the field, and pass is complete.
What impressed me about that play, if we have it on replay, they were in the shotgun, but as soon as the ball was snapped, both backs broke. And I think this confused the Falls defense because they didn't have enough people to cover the backs coming out of the backfield. So they left Copeland alone as he came across the middle, and he was wide open for about a 15-yard pickup. A very nice play, very nice call.
Tackle made by defensive back John Lehner of the Falls. First and 10, ball on the 39, I formation. Hoover rolling to the left, looking downfield. And in and out of the reach, or out of the reach, I should say, again, of Adam Copeland.
Notice that Hoover's been throwing the ball just a little bit high tonight. And it's one of those, I guess, go up and get it. If you can't get it, nobody's going to. So he's avoiding interceptions, but that ball is just overthrown.
Second and 10, 3:41 left, first half. Osterland, Copeland, split to the left. I formation again. A give to 4. He gets away from a couple defenders. Look at those feet move. Matt 4.
He might have got a first and 10. He was stopped about 4 different times and managed to go. He's coming up limping, grabbing the back of his leg. Looks like a hamstring pull, but I don't know if he's going to shake it off or not. But you watch this. He stopped behind the line of scrimmage, and he stopped twice once he gets to the line of scrimmage.
Never gave up.
No. Okay, there's the first one there. Missed tackle. Right there, another missed tackle. Now cut it back to the right, Matt. Thank you. And there's a missed tackle in there before he finally gets tackled down after about a pickup of about 9 yards. So it brings up a 3rd and 1. That was another nice run by Matt Ford.
That's the running back, Scott Freilich, making the tackle on defense for the Falls.
Quarterback sneak for Wadsworth, and Hoover just blasted through and picked up about 6 yards in the first down. I'll tell you the thing that impresses me about Ford so much is how quick he can change direction. Now, he's not very big, and of course, the smaller you are, the easier it is to do that. And I think he runs very low to the ground. He's got a low center of gravity, and he can change directions as quickly as any running back that I can remember seeing us play in the last few years.
Now Osterland at the bottom of the screen. Copeland at the top. Tony Moeller and Tricomie in the backfield. Hoover rolling right. He's pressured. The pass was intended down the sideline for Chris Brink. He turned around a little too late.
Well, Brian Moeller had an awful lot of pressure on Hoover. Tony Moeller, I'm sorry. And Hoover did a good job just to get out of the pocket, scramble over the side, and get rid of the ball. Yeah, that could have been a good play if he'd had a little more time to throw it a little deeper, but nobody was looking for the ball that quick. So that was just good defense on the part of the Falls.
Second and 10, ball on the 46.
2:37 to go, and who's that's down?
Matt 4.
Matt 4. We just said it looked like he pulled a muscle in his leg, and they're working on his left leg. I hope it's not his knee. They're moving around. It looks like it might be a knee, not just a muscle pull.
Hoover drops straight back. His pass is batted down at the line by a Falls defender. It's going to be 3rd and 10.
I wasn't looking deep. I don't know if anybody was open or not, but that's 2 nice defensive plays by the Falls. The first one to put pressure on Hoover, make him throw the ball too early, and then that one, you bat the ball down the line of scrimmage, and you're not going to get anywhere. Here comes the play in.
Hopefully we can get our
Ben Osterland's bringing in
sideline reporting microphone in working order down there. We'd find out what's wrong with Matt 4.
It looks like they're flexing his knee around, trying to, because at first I thought it was just a muscle pull.
Hoover is pressured, had to run with it, and he could not get much past the line of scrimmage. He might have been brought down behind it a little bit.
Well, that's the 3rd play that the Falls has played excellent defense and got a lot of pressure on Hoover.
Wadsworth's going to punt.
About 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go.
Clock continues to run.
Yeah, so Falls going to get the ball back with maybe a minute 50 seconds to play. And with their offense, that's plenty of time to do lots of stuff.
Tony Moeller, high snap. Gets off a
nice
beautiful booming punt over the head of a Falls player, and it bounces into the end zone. If Wadsworth could get a defender, special teamer I should say, down there quick enough, they could have stopped that one deep in Falls' own territory.
It was a 49-yard punt. The only thing that's been a little scary, I think all 3 snaps back to Moeller have been rainbows that have kind of like gone way up in the air and dropped down into his hands, and 2 of them almost went over his head. In fact, 2 of those plays, he did a good job just bringing the ball down in order to punt it. So the Falls is going to take over with a minute 43 to go on their own 20-yard line. I think they have 2 timeouts, but I'm not sure. They might have all 3. It's going to be interesting to see if they elect to go for it all or just kind of run the ball out here or try something safe and see how it goes.
Give to Freilich. Plenty of room in the middle of the field. And boy, can he run, Larry. He just powered through the line, and all of a sudden, nobody was around him, and he gained an extra 15, 20 yards.
That was a 22-yard pickup. And, you know, John, with all the moves he's made, that's really the first big run that he's had. As surprising it is, I mean, he's made all these moves just to get, like, back to the line of scrimmage. But that one, he busted clear and picked up 22 yards. And I don't think there's any doubt now with the ball on the 42-yard line, the Falls is going to try to score before this quarter's over. Minute 23 to go.
Fralick going to try to go around the left end, but he's brought down hard.
That was Jake McIlvaine. And I'll tell you what,
Jake Kurowski, number 30.
What McIlvaine did was a real good job of stringing the play out and then pushing it to the outside, breaking through and making the tackle. So now it's going to bring up a 2nd and 12. There's a loss of 2 on the play. And the Falls has taken a timeout.
12 for the Black Tigers.
But back to the stadium again, the press box facilities here are very nice. If you look up at the press box, you'll find there's at both ends, there's one end here for us on the right-hand side, the other end is the coaches, and then in the middle, area for other reporters. The Cuyahoga Falls coaches are on the adult side of the field, if you will. Here's some stats for you. So far, Cuyahoga Falls has 6 first downs. They've had 7 penalties for 65 yards. Thompson still 3 for 6 passing, 45 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. And his passing all came in the first quarter.
Let's go down to the sideline and hear from Jeff Jenkins.
Down on the sideline, checking on Matt Ford. Looks Matt twisted his knee a little bit on that one run. He seems to be okay. He'll be back in the second half. And that's it from the sideline right now. Back up to you, John.
Thank you, Jeff. That's beautiful job.
Good news. Okay, after the timeout, the Falls has got the ball 2nd and 12 on their own 40.
Shotgun.
3 receivers right.
Wadsworth pressuring the quarterback, Thompson, and he has to just dive forward to get a couple, maybe 1 yard.
No, he lost 2 on that. That was a quarterback draw all the way. He was not looking to pass the ball at all. As soon as the ball got back, he just tucked it down and started the run, but the Wadsworth defenders were ready.
Maybe Falls will play it safe and go into the locker room at halftime, tied at 14, and we'll have a 0-0 ball game starting out the second half.
Well, if it ends up this way at the half, I think the Wadsworth players and the coaches have to feel awfully good, being down 14-0 and then coming back. On the other hand, since the first quarter, in fact, since like the second half of the first quarter, the Falls really haven't managed anything at all, and they called their second timeout with 28 seconds to go. So it's the 3rd and 13 for the Falls, 28 seconds to go, and the ball's on the 38-yard line. It's a strange time to call a timeout. You'd think they would have called it before they went into the huddle, not go into the huddle, come up the line of scrimmage, and then decide to call timeout.
I like the sideline reporting feature there, Larry. We can find some interesting things out from the bench.
I think it does 2 things. Number 1, it adds another dimension to the broadcast. And number 2, we're not forced to rely on rumors or guesses as to what's going on. I was standing there and I was saying, oh, it looks like he pulled a muscle. Oh, now they're working on his knee.
There you see a shot of the press box and the new stands here at Arkwright Stadium.
We're down here where it's dark. Hi, Mom. We're waving. Hi,
there
Mom.
You can see, see I'm waving there, Larry.
Yeah, I'm waving
right
too.
there. There you go.
Okay. There's him, and I'm waving over here. Hi, Mom. This is me over here.
Yeah. That's me, and that's Larry
me.
right there.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Right there, and here's the ladder that goes to the roof.
But it really is nice. A lot of electrical outlets, easy place access for equipment, plenty of room, nice windows in place. Good press box.
Shotgun again for Matt Thompson and the Tigers. Thompson, pump fake. Throws again. Caught downfield by Joe Franchino. He can't get out of bounds. Clock will run. Falls will call their 3rd and final timeout.
I think there were 5.
Or they're stopping it from the first down.
I think they're just stopping it to move the yard marker.
The beautiful Wadsworth cheerleaders heading into formation for a show for the fans. And I believe at halftime, Larry, Falls band will play, the Wadsworth band will play, and the Fraternal Order of Police is going to present the Wadsworth Marching Band with a check tonight.
That's not bad. The timeout was for a measurement for the first down, so neither team called a timeout. Actually, this works to the Falls' advantage because they don't have to take a timeout. They did get the first down. Now, they picked up 13 yards in that play, but there was no doubt it was going to score because Wadsworth had 5 defenders around the ball after it was caught. So here we go, 1st and 10, 19 seconds to go, and I would say the Falls has maybe 3 shots at the end zone.
And with the leg of senior Mark Sabino, maybe they figure they can get a little bit closer and try a field goal at the end of the first half here.
Well, Sabino hasn't tried a field goal all year, but the way he kicks those kickoffs, I would say if they could get down there another 20 yards, he might have a real shot.
Low snap. Thompson is pressured and brought down hard by Chris Brink and Matt Delnos.
And that was a coverage sack, well covered downfield, and that is the end of the first half.
With your score,
14-14.
Thank you. So, we will tally up the stats from the first half and see what both teams come out with and what adjustments they make in the first or in the locker room at halftime. And it's 14-14. We will be right back after you enjoy the Wadsworth Marching Band.
Everybody needs somebody to love. Sing, and everybody needs somebody to love. And we just sing I've never known. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your Wadsworth High School Marching Band.
Let's go, ladies!
Back for second half action at Arkwright Stadium. Tie ball game at 14. Hope you enjoyed the Wadsworth Grizzly Marching Band. They were presented a check by the Fraternal Order of Police, and Larry Varner has the first half statistics.
Okay, this is courtesy of John Remugli, who's doing the stats for us tonight. First of all, for the Falls, they had 7 first downs, 7 penalties, 65 yards. Passing, Thompson was 4 for 7 for 59 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, and he rushed the ball, and most of those were scrambles, 9 times, 35 yards. Froelich had 13 carries for 47 yards, a lot of beautiful runs there, though not much yardage. And Cole, the up-back, had 2 rushes for 5 yards. For Wadsworth, they had 5 first down, 3 penalties for 25 yards. Matt Hoover was 4 for 13 for 85 yards and
Mike
1 TD.
Hoover.
I'm sorry, Mike Hoover. And he rushed 4 times for 17 yards. Most of scramble, 1 was actually a rush. Matt 4 for 47, including a beautiful 33-yard run for a touchdown. And Joe Tricome, 3 rushes, 19 yards. Wadsworth will receive the kick the second half.
Mark Sabino to kick it off. Bugis and Tricome deep, or is that Tricome and Osterland deep?
And here we go again. I think that's the 9th consecutive time that the kicker has put the ball in the end zone. And again, in high school football, ball is in the end zone. You can't run it out, so Wadsworth's going to take over on the 20-yard line. I was impressed with the way Wadsworth came back, John. I mean, the Falls scored those 2 quick touchdowns with 6 minutes gone. They were down by 14. But Wadsworth just hung in there and did 2 things. Number 1, they scored to tie the game. And number 2, they stopped the fall. So this is going to be an interesting second half to see whether it turns into a track meet or one of the 2 teams just kind of asserts itself.
Hoover under center. Osterland in motion. Pitch to Matt 4. Finds a little bit of a hole. Takes it across the Wadsworth 30 to about the 32.
There was some power running by 4, and that's not what you'd expect out of him. He broke clean, but then he dragged a couple of ball carries for 5 yards. Good runs. One thing that I've said week in and week out, if you want to know if the coaching is good, it's the adjustments they make in the halftime to come out to start the second half. So you might want to keep an eye on what adjustments are made. Who are the ones that have picked up the little differences that are going to make the difference, the big difference in winning this ball game? Some of the Wadsworth coaching staff is excellent at.
4 gets the give again, has a huge hole, cuts around a couple defenders, finally tackled by Scott Freilich, just shy of midfield, and Matt 4 continues to pound the ball on the ground.
Remember I said adjustments? There didn't look like there's anything fancy on either one of those plays, but somewhere along the line, the Wadsworth coaching staff has picked up and said, hey, here's something we can do. A little bit different blocking scheme here, a little bit different cut there, and we can get some good yards. In 2 plays, Wadsworth come out and rush the ball for 30 yards.
4's leg seems to be all right after that halftime rest. This time he takes it around the left end, cuts back in, scampers down to the 35 of Cuyahoga Falls for another Wadsworth first down.
And give a lot of credit to Ben Osterlund on the block there in the open field. He basically sealed off cornerback to the outside that allowed the cut to be made inside. And a lot of times when it comes to downfield blocking by your wide receivers, they don't have to throw a crushing block. All they have to do is just get in the way. And that's what Osterlund did. An awfully good job of getting in the way.
Play action fake. Hoover going deep downfield way over the head of Chris Brink, who was double teamed.
That pass play fooled nobody. As you said, Brink was double teamed, and I think when Hoover saw that, he just threw the ball away.
John Lehner and Craig Meganhart both defending Brink on that play.
That brings up 2nd and 10 at the 35, and given the way Wadsworth offense is and the way the game's going, you would say once again that Wadsworth is in 4-down territory here. I'm not sure that Galpert could get the ball through the uprights from there, and they're certainly not going to punt.
Pitch to 4. Gets some good blocks. Breaks away from one tackler and rumbles across the 20 into the red zone.
Well, that run there put 4 over 100 yards for the game, and he's come out in the second half like a person on fire. It's just, he's got all the yards they've gained this half, so that would be almost 70 yards he's picked up here in the second half.
1st and 10 again, and that's what, Larry? 3rd first down 4 is picked up here in the first series of the second half.
And he's rushed, like I say, for 70 yards here in the second half on this opening drive.
Tony Moeller in at fullback.
4 again, right up the middle.
Now Osterlund running in the play. Vujis back to the sideline.
you'd have to call that a moral victory for the Falls because Four only gained 4 yards on that play to bring up a 2nd down and 6 from about the 14-yard line.
Osterland left, Copeland right, I formation, and what? Somebody moved.
I think it's going to go against Wadsworth, but I didn't see anything. The referee's going over the sideline.
Wadsworth marching back.
They're calling an illegal motion on Wadsworth. I don't know if they had 2 backs break at the same time or Osterland was running for it. I don't know what that one was, but it was an illegal motion of some type. So that brings up a 2nd down and 11 on the 19-yard line.
Now Copeland moving to the other side of the field. Hoover, short drop back, a little fade pass into the corner to Vujis, over his shoulder, out of his reach. Be 3rd down for Wadsworth.
I said this before, Hoover seems to be missing long or high on all his passes tonight. And that one ostensibly was open, but the ball was just overthrown there in the corner. So that brings up a 3rd down and 11.
Ball rests on the Falls 19-yard line. Osterland moving. Pitch to Four. Gets a nice block. And gets it down to the 6-yard line. On the block there was
Matt Delnos, and you've got to give a lot of credit to Matt pulling out and leading that play. Watching the front of your screen as Four goes through there, you'll see Delnos right there, and he just opened that hole for Four to take the ball down for a Wadsworth 1st down on, I think they're spotting it on about the 5-yard line. So that's 10 carries for Four now with 117 yards, considering he only had 38 coming into the 2nd half.
pitch again to Four, same play, gets the hold just shy of the goal line. He's at about the 1 or 2.
And I was watching who's down there blocking. I see Delnos getting up, and I see Brink getting up. And right now, they're just out muscling the Falls at the line of scrimmage.
They're finding a weakness on that side of the line.
Well, I think one of the hallmarks of the Wadsworth football team's years I've been following is physical conditioning. I mean, these kids spend a lot of time in the weight room over the summer. And I've seen this year in and year out, the first few games of the season, they can wear an opponent down, just physically wear them down because of better conditioning.
Give to Four again, he fumbles the ball.
The Falls say they have it.
And
they do. Well, that's a terrible break for Wadsworth.
At the bottom of the pile, a Falls player came up with the loose ball, and unfortunately for the Grizzlies, had the ball at the 2-yard line, could not convert the touchdown.
I don't think Four ever had a handle on the ball. It wasn't so much as a fumble as I don't think that the exchange went right, because when he went in there, he was looking backwards for the ball. But that's really unfortunate. A beautiful drive, and they were just doing everything they wanted to the Falls, and then to lose the ball. But they've got the Falls pinned down deep, and if they could hang in here, maybe even go for a safety, things still might look a little brighter.
And Falls try to punch it out, and they don't get anywhere with it, but they're still...
The rest are really no gain on the play, so that's going to be a 2nd down and 10 from about the 2-yard line. You have to turn over like that. It's difficult to call on your defense to rise up and play tough because they're excited. Well, it looks like we're going to score, and see if we can hold them. If we can pin them down here, get the ball at least in good field position.
Freilich makes a nice cut move back in field. Now he cuts the middle of the field, and he's finally tackled by Jake McIlvain in the open field at about the 27-yard line.
And that was a touchdown-saving tackle by McIlvain. In fact, I almost thought they were going to call a clip on the Falls on that because he got hit from behind. Watch this. Freilich goes to the outside. Another excellent run. He gets around the outside here, and then cuts in. Breaks the tackle there, now cuts in again, and watch the tackle that McIlvain makes right there. See, that almost looked like a block from behind, but they really just touched him, and that saved the touchdown, a 98-yard touchdown run, because there was nobody behind McIlvain.
Simple run play stopped by the Grizzly defense. 8:05 left, third period.
That play went nowhere, and it's hard to tell which Wadsworth player tackled him. There's such a pile of players on there. Second down and 10. And it's funny, as long as the first and second quarters were, the third quarter is going very rapidly because the ball's just been on the ground the entire time.
Second and 10, ball on the 27. Nice defensive play by Jeff Hanna.
And he came
getting there right
time.
as the ball did, intended for number 35, Craig Meganhart, but Hanna just
perfect timing. That's
kept
the only
him
way
from catching the ball.
A fraction of a second sooner, they'd have called it interference. A fraction of a second later, it would have been a completion. He hit him just as the ball came there. Great defensive play by Hanna. Brings up 3rd and 10 for the Falls.
Thompson, fake handoff to Freilich, rolling left, still going left. He's pushed out of bounds, shy of a first down.
They're marking the ball, looks like about 2 yards shy of the first down, so it's going to bring up a 4th and 2 on the Wadsworth 33. Making a 4th and 3, so it looks like the Falls is going to kick. Going back for Wadsworth, number 6, Draconi, and number 9, Ben Vujas.
Quarterback slash punter, Matt Thompson. Receives the snap.
And penalty flags down. There was a lot of motion on the line of scrimmage. See who they're going to call. If I had to guess, I'd say the Falls for motion. In fact, they're backing up. So that's going to be a 5-yard penalty against Cuyahoga Falls. I think somebody on the line of scrimmage broke too soon. They're calling false start on the Falls. So that'll bring up a 3rd down and 9, and the Falls now will still punt the ball.
Better field position for the Grizzlies. Maybe they can make up for the turnover when they were just shy of a touchdown here at the start of the second half.
Well, except for that one run, I mean, Wadsworth defense has done a good job of stopping the Falls this time. They stopped them basically 5 out of 7 tries for no gain.
Kick is up, fielded by Joe Tricome at the 40. Who just gonna block, and he breaks upfield. Tricome speed. 17-yard return, and Wadsworth in Falls territory, first down.
Well, Tricome started to the left, and now he saw there wasn't anything there, and now a beautiful cutback that just caught the Cuyahoga Falls players just running the wrong way. He found out opening there. Quick move there, but a nice open field tackle. But I think Tricome got all he could out of that one. He was not going to go all the way, but that was a great run back by Tricome. So Wadsworth takes over, 1st and 10 on their own 43, and let's see if they can keep this momentum going and get that ball into the end zone.
Brian Miller on the tackle for the Falls, a senior. Handoff to 4, going to the left again. This time Falls players are there to meet him at the 41.
Well, you got to believe that the Falls is going to make adjustments against Matt 4. They can't let him run wild like that. So I would say this would be a good time. If Wadsworth's got some kind of trick play in their book or a gadget play, an end around or something like that, a screen pass, this might be the time to call it. Because I don't think they're going to get it on the ground right now. They're going to have to go to the air. 2 wide receivers right.
Fake pitch, and then hand it off. Tony Moeller, the fullback. Fake, a little delay handoff there. It was fake to 4, and then as Moeller stood his ground, he got the ball and
picked up
made a nice run.
Yeah, he did, because he had defenders all over him. He got about 7, 8 yards. In fact, they're calling for a measurement, I believe. Timeout for a measurement. So it's either going to be 1st and 10 or it's going to be 3rd and very short. Stretching out the chains, and
about a couple inches. There you see it. Referee marks where the ball is, and it really is about a couple inches.
So that brings up third and, like I say, a couple inches as they spot the ball down. What do you do here, John? You try to pick up the first down, and you go for it all.
Let's see. That's why I'm not a coach.
We don't get paid enough for that, right? Well, if I had to guess, I would guess that Wadsworth would pick up the first down here because they're in 4-down territory.
It's less stressful to watch the action and let the people know what's happening than to have to decide what's going to happen.
Right. It's a lot easier being descriptive than the one that makes things occur.
Wadsworth line trying to make the Falls defenders move. They weren't fooled by the quarterback keeper.
That was an interesting call because you think when the quarterback's going to get the ball, he's going to dive right out the middle. And Hoover had no intention of going up the middle at all. He looked left right away, and he was looking to break that thing for a big gain. Then when he saw that there were people on the outside, he just put his head down and picked up the first down. So it's a 1st and 10 Wadsworth on about the 31-yard line of Cuyahoga Falls.
Clock running with 6:15 to go, third quarter.
Wadsworth had 5 first downs in the second half, 10 overall.
Hoover going to roll to his right, looks downfield, finds Brink open, caught at the 12 of the Falls.
That was a great throw and a great catch. Hoover was rolling. He was getting pressure from behind him to feel it, jumped up and laid the ball right into Brink. Now watch this. There's pressure coming from the backside, and I'm sure Hoover's aware of that. You don't see the defenders, but they are there coming. Jumps up. Great athletic move, and look at that, put the ball right on the numbers for Chris Brink. So now the ball's on the 12-yard line, 1st and 10 Wadsworth. Let's hope this time they can punch it in.
Pitch to 4, gets a nice block, and he's wrestled down at about the line of scrimmage.
Matt Hoover hasn't had that many completions, only 5, but he's passed for 105 yards in a TD. And by the way, somewhere along the line, he became the leading passer in Wadsworth history, and someone is down on the field.
Hoover surpassing Rob Sondel's career record.
I can't tell who the injured Wadsworth player is.
It's Matt 4, Larry.
Is that Matt again?
Yes, it is.
Well, he went out in the first half with a twisted knee, came back in, seemed to be running pretty well, but this one looks a little more serious. It looks like they're working on his left leg again. I mean, his right leg. That was the one that he injured, the knee. It just seemed to be a strain, and he was only out for a couple series and went right back in.
I'll take a minute. I can let you know about the coaches show we're producing at WCTV called Grizzly Gridiron. Coach Dennison and I will review highlights from the previous Friday night's football game. There you see it, this Tuesday night at 9 p.m., Channel 16. We'll have highlights, Coach Greg Dennison, and he brings in a couple guest players.
And a reminder to people, next week, Wadsworth will be playing at Medina, playing the Bees. Last week, Medina came up big, beating Firestone 21-0, and tonight they play Cloverleaf.
There's the remaining schedule for the Grizzlies. Last week, of course, winning at Barberton. Tonight, we're in the third quarter of a tie ball game versus Cuyahoga Falls Black Tigers. And as you mentioned, next Friday at Medina, and then we start the Suburban League schedule.
Medina's playing Cloverleaf. Cloverleaf lost to Warren Howland last week. So you wouldn't be surprised if they went into Medina with Medina being 2-0. And again, talking about the playoff picture, those are the teams that you have to beat. There's a Division I team that's 2-0. This is the one that you want to get.
A lot of people surrounding. We've got the paramedics down there now, Larry. See if our sideline reporter Jeff Jenkins can't get us some information after he is cleared off the field. That would be a tough break for the Grizzlies, losing Matt Four, who's just played tremendously here in the first 2 games.
Well, as we said, he injured his knee in the first half, but seemed to be okay. And now this.
by buying your 50/50 raffle tickets. Thank you.
Well, let's fade down here from this injury timeout. We'll be right back. There's the Wadsworth EMS now rolling out onto Art Wright Stadium's football field, coming from the south end of the field to pick up Mat 4. Not quite sure what's wrong yet, but we'll find out. Mike Hoover a little beside himself down there on the field. And our sideline reporter, Jeff Jenkins, I think has a tidbit for us on the injury. They're pulling the stretcher out, Larry. I don't know what happened with that sideline report.
Well, again, it looked like that they were working on his right leg. It was too bad because Four was just having an outstanding second half. Of course, Wadsworth is going to miss him very much. In high school football, they don't take any chances with these kids. I mean, they immediately mobilize the site of injury, and they've got all the EMS people there and everything else like that. And like I say, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a right leg or a right knee.
Wadsworth players keeping loose out on the field.
This has been a long delay.
We have 5:44 left in the third period. Score still tied at 14. Wadsworth threatening here and fumbled an earlier goal line play, losing the ball. Here's I think we have a replay, Larry, of Mat 4 carrying the ball there. Maybe you could see what happened.
Here comes Four. And you could see his leg just gets rolled over there.
That was his ankle, Larry.
Yeah.
It just got, ugh.
That was just one of those accidental type things where the false tackler, in trying to pull him down, it looked like Four's foot got planted on the turf and then rolled over. So that's what happened to him. And like I said, could be an ankle, could be a knee, but it was pretty obvious in that replay. We can see it again. Now watch his
Number
right
63.
ankle get planted.
Ooh, that's a Theismann-like there.
So that's what they're taking care of at this particular time. I don't know who would be coming in for Four.
Well, Tracomie
would be one.
The other tailback.
I imagine that they would go with Joe Tracomie at this particular point in time.
Thought we were going to get a nice sideline report there, but we'll try it again.
Down here on the field with EMS, Matt was talking to Vince Cellini. Fox 8 was in the end zone. He said Matt's foot stopped and his leg didn't. And
that's pretty much what we saw on the replay. His foot got planted in the turf and he couldn't get loose, and then he got rolled over.
So while they tend to Mat 4
Wadsworth players down there trying to stay loose because this has been an awful long delay.
So we'll break away here for another second and be right back.
Coach didn't want you to say
Once again, you see the replay there of Matt Foring going down, and he is now being put in the ambulance and being taken away. Wadsworth players down here warming up. When play finally resumes, and this has been a long stoppage of play, it's going to be the third quarter with 5:44 to go. Scores tied 14-14. And Wadsworth will have a second down and 10 on the 12-yard line of Cuyahoga Falls. So that's where things will pick up or resume once play starts again. Wadsworth cheerleaders on the sidelines just watching the proceedings. Before he went out, Four had 14 carries for 127 yards and a touchdown. And he had the one fumble down on the 2-yard line just a few minutes ago.
Nice job by the young man, Matt Ford, and we wish him well.
It's going to be interesting to see how this situation affects Wadsworth. They had a lot of momentum coming out in the second half, drove the ball all the way down the 2-yard line before the fumble, then stopped the Falls. They had a good drive going here, and let's see if they can still keep that momentum, keep themselves up, and hopefully punch the ball in from the 12-yard line. And the EMS crew is now preparing to take the ambulance off the field.
There you see some Wadsworth Grizzly fans.
And the new stadium, or the new side of the stadium.
Sea of red.
Yep. A nice crowd here tonight. And there's also a nice crowd on the Fall side. Oh, you could expect that because they do have a very good team and do support their football pretty well. So if you look across the field to the Cuyahoga Fall side, it's pretty well filled. And there's a lot of people standing along the fences too.
There you see it.
There's the Fall side. And the EMS van is now pulling off the field.
Football fans cheering.
Referees are going out now to spot the ball.
And as we're back to the action, Grizzlies only need to go 12 yards to take the lead for the first time tonight. Started out at an early 14-0 deficit.
Okay, when all's said and done now, it's going to be second down and about 9 yards from the 11-yard line is actually where they spotted the ball. After the injury to Four, the ball was never really placed down because everything was stopped to help him. So actually there's a pickup of 1 on the play, and it's going to be second and 9 from the 11-yard line. And we'll have to see who's in the backfield for Four. I think I see Tracomie in there.
Yes, you
That
do.
would be the logical one that you would assume that he would be taking over at the tailback spot.
Joe, quite a quick runner himself. Tony Moeller still in at fullback.
Tracomie's a little bit bigger than Four, and he'll break some more tackles, so I don't think he's quite as quick.
Hoover going to keep it himself. Roll to the right, looking in the end zone. And it's a touchdown by Adam Copeland, making a beautiful catch.
To see, but he just curled around and the ball was laid in there perfectly, and Wadsworth goes up for the first time tonight, 20-14.
Copeland had to kind of dive forward there, had a defender on his back, but nicely done by Adam Copeland, the senior.
And there's
extra point is up and good, and Sky Fox is now leaving Artwright Stadium. Fox Channel 8's helicopter flying high above. There you see it. Can't see too much detail because of the darkness, but the lights are on and it is circling around Cartwright Stadium.
The stats on Hoover right now, he's only completed 6 of 17 passes, but for 117 yards, which of course is good enough to move him to first place all-time passing leaders at Wadsworth, and that was his second touchdown pass tonight. So the offense has done their job the first 2 drives. Let's see if this will carry over to the defense now and maybe put this thing away early. That's a little bit optimistic, but be nice to wish for anyhow. Galper teeing the ball up on the 40-yard line. We have 5:24 to play in the third quarter.
Sam Galpert now 8 for 8 on extra points.
Has not yet tried a field goal. Galpert waiting for the refs to give the signal, and there it is.
Craig Meganhart deep for the Falls. One of the up men receives the kick, takes it across the 30, and that's where the Falls will start 1st and 10 with 5:23 left in the third. Joe Franchino on the return.
So Cuyahoga Falls takes over 1st and 10 on the 31. This is going to be an interesting series of downs. I mean, Wadsworth has had everything going for them the second half. And the Falls, I think they know they can't get any further behind than this. They've got to get some momentum of their own, see what they try, and they try.
Freilich spins away from one defender, but
Jeff Dietrich was the person who brought him down. He didn't make the first hit. I didn't get the number of the, I think it was Ian Formaz who made the hit first of all that stopped him in his tracks. Let's take a look here. There's the handoff.
There's Formaz.
There's Formaz who basically made the play, and then Dietrich came in to wrap the whole thing up. So they lost about 1, going to bring up 2nd down and 11. And for all his fabulous running, Freilich hasn't really done that much tonight. He's run a lot left to right, but not so much forward.
Nice pass play to number 15, Jim Lipinski.
There's a flag on the play, and I don't know what that's going to be. It came in from the side. Referees are talking it over. And Lipinski hasn't been heard too much from tonight. He was a big receiver last week against Elyria. That was a nice pattern that he ran. He came perfectly clean and picked up what might be enough for the 1st down. Referees talking it over. And let's see what they're going to call here. Calling holding against Wadsworth. Offensive holding, probably holding the receiver.
Defensive holding, Larry.
But I think it was on the holding the tight end. If it's holding on the line, it's going to be a 10-yard penalty, which will bring the ball up short. They'll probably take that to make it like a 2nd down and 1. It shouldn't give them a 1st and 10, though it is from the spot of the foul. Okay, referees are pointing as to where the spot of the foul is going to be. Now there seems to be more confusion among the refs what they're going to do.
Grizzly offense has put up 21 unanswered points.
There's Coach Greg Dennison looking over saying, what's going on here? They're talking to the team captain for Cuyahoga Falls and moving the ball up. And they're putting it right on the 40-yard line. Still haven't seen what it's all about. Now the referee's going to give the signal. Okay. Holding against Wadsworth. And from the spot of the foul, that's about a 10-yard penalty. So it's going to 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So it brings up a 2nd down and about 1 yard to go for the Falls on the 40-yard line. 4:35 to go in the third quarter.
Handoff to Freilich, gets it to the 45.
There was a nice hole at the line of scrimmage that time, and he managed to bust out. I see getting up from the bottom of the play. Number 22, Pat McCarthy, made the tackle on that. So that was a nice run and a first down for the Falls on the 45-yard line.
Pat McCarthy, usually a busy player. That's the first we've mentioned his name tonight.
Hannah's made some big plays in there. Ian, as long as one of the defensive backs is coming up and doing it, and I think that's it. And Jake McElvain, of course, has the playing well, too. Freilich now has 17 carries for 82 yards, so he's had a very busy night.
Thompson in trouble. Found the open hole in the middle of the line to freely run downfield. Cuts back in. Pat McCarthy there to finally bring him down at the Wadsworth 12.
Well, Jeff Hanna had moved him to the outside, and Thompson made a very nice cut to cut back inside of Hanna, and McCarthy just happened to be there to make the touchdown-saving tackle. That's a 40-yard run for Thompson. It wasn't designed to be a run, designed to be a pass play. Look here, he's looking downfield, then sees this opening on the outside and takes off. Now watch Hanna as he runs him to the outside, and the great move that Thompson makes to cut back in, and then a good tackle by McCarthy after that. There, whoop, I'm going to go inside, and there's McCarthy to make the tackle. 1st and 10 ball on the 11. Handoff to Freilich, runs in the corner of the end zone, Black Tiger touchdown. And that one was almost too easy. He just walked into the end zone there. 11-yard touchdown run for Freilich.
21-20 the score now. 3:28 remaining, 3rd period.
I'll tell you, this is turning into a track meet instead of a football game. The teams are just running up and down the field. There isn't an awful lot of defense out there right now. Sabino has been perfect on extra points this year, and so we'll see what happens here.
John Lehner, the holder, puts it down. Kick is up. Kick is good. Tie ball game at 21 after Wadsworth took the lead 21-14. Falls ties it up with 3:28 left.
It's amazing how the ebb and flow of this game has gone. The Falls comes out, scores 2 touchdowns, looks like they're going to run Wadsworth off the field. Then Wadsworth comes out and just takes total control of the game, scores 3 touchdowns to up 21-14. And then this last trip down the field, Cuyahoga Falls looked like they did the Falls in the first quarter, where they could do nothing wrong and Wadsworth could do nothing right. This is going to be one of those deals, I think, where the last team that gets the ball scores and wins. And let's see if Sabino keeps his record intact of every kickoff this season going into the end zone and preventing a run back. See Osterland and Tricomie going back deep for Wadsworth to receive the kick. Sabino there teeing up the ball.
Counting his steps back, we're ready to go.
Sabino isn't that big, he's only 5'8", 150, but he has a tremendous wallop in his leg when he hits that ball. And notice that the Wadsworth receivers, or the kickoff return men, are back on the goal line. And this one
caught at the goal line
by
Osterland. He takes it out, diving across the 25 to the 27.
And like I say, that's the first kickoff all year that Sabino has kicked where it can be returned. And in that one, Osterland had 1 foot in the end zone and 1 foot out when he caught the ball, so that's about as close as you can get. So Wadsworth takes over on the 27, 1st and 10. 3:22 left to go in the 3rd quarter. And again, the thing to watch is how well Tricomie runs with 4 out of the ball game.
Give is to Tricomie, finds a hole on the left side of the line, takes it to the 45.
Well, I would say that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You got to give the Wadsworth offensive line a lot of credit, because they're opening up a hole right at the center, and once Tricomie gets through that little hole in the line, he's got a lot of room to run. Little fake right here back towards the inside. He doesn't have the speed to break it all the way down, and there were some defenders behind him. That was a very, very nice run. So it's 1st and 10 Wadsworth on their own 45.
3 minutes left, 3rd period. Osterland in motion. Pitch again to Tricomie. Goes to the left side. Gets about 2 yards, maybe 1.
I don't think Wadsworth is going to be able to do it all with the run. As you watch the pitch to Trachome here, and he comes up, and this time Falls defenders are waiting for him. They're going to have to throw some passes to make this thing work. But again, if you can get the Falls thinking run and worrying about the run, that makes the passing game all that much easier.
Josh Maletti, junior defensive lineman on the tackle. Larry, Wadsworth running the ball to the left continuously tonight.
I think that's where they got the horses, over there on this side.
Hoover, drop-off pass to Tony Moeller out of the backfield, and he rumbles down and is knocked out of bounds finally at about the 33 of Cuyahoga Falls.
At the top of the game, I said when Wadsworth played Barberton, they didn't have to do anything fancy. They could beat them with just the ordinary pass plays. Now here's a wrinkle you haven't seen, a pass to the fullback coming out of the backfield. He came out absolutely clean. Nobody was looking for him. Nice job of breaking a tackle there. And Tony Moeller is a big back and a good runner. But wait a second, they're bringing this back. I didn't see the penalty flag. It was on the far side. And I don't know what they're calling. Here come the referees bringing the ball back. It looks like it's going to be a personal foul after the tackle or something of that sort. I think it's a dead ball foul, but I'm not sure. Let's see what they call. Referee signaling. And now it was an illegal block on the run back against Wadsworth, so they mark it off from the spot of the foul. And it brings it back to the Wadsworth 47, so basically what you have is a second down and 8 yards to go. And that's too bad because that nullifies a great play on the pass.
Pass to the fullback, or pass handoff to Tony Moeller. Rumbles for a few more Wadsworth yards.
So that's going to bring up maybe a third down and about 5 for Wadsworth. And I'll say again, I don't want to call them trick plays, but if Wadsworth's got a gimmick play in their book, this might be a good place to use it. Try to catch the Falls napping and do something just a little bit different.
Ball right at midfield.
Trachome now has 5 rushes for 39 yards. And we have 2 wide receivers at the bottom of your screen. See what happens now.
Hoover going left. Sees Vujas. Nice catch at the 45. He's pushed out of bounds.
I don't think he got the first down. He came open very nicely, and Hoover did a good job of picking him up, but he's going to be about a yard or 2 short on the 45-yard line. You see it here. At this point, he's open. Here comes the ball, but good defensive play to hit him just as soon as he got the ball. It didn't allow him to turn upfield and get that extra yard or 2. So that brings up a 4th down and 1, and it'll be interesting to see if Wadsworth goes for this or not.
They are going to go for it. 4th and 1.
At least they look like they're going to go for it. At least they might try a long snap count to draw the Falls offside. Let's see what we got here.
Hoover calling out the play. Give to Trachome. He gets the first down as he makes a spin move right at the line and gets the extra yardage for the first down.
Well, I'll tell you, he didn't have it when he was hit. He was hit right at the line of scrimmage. It was all Trachome that got it. Watch this. There's the hit right there. He stopped behind the line of scrimmage, but he managed to do that little spin and dive forward for the extra yard.
Under a minute to go in the 3rd.
So that's 8 first downs for Wadsworth this half. They have been moving the ball very well. It's too bad that one fumble on the goal line. That cost them big.
Trachome now takes it to the right side. Gets about a yard or so.
Down to the 42-yard line. And that's probably the next to the last play of the 3rd quarter. We only have 38 seconds to go and counting. They should be able to get one more play off, but that would be it.
Josh Miracle at center, opening up a hole there on the right side. Osterlund quickly to the other side of the line. Tony Moeller, the fullback.
And that one went nowhere. What happened was Hoover faked a pitch to the tailback and then handed off very quickly to the fullback coming up, but the trouble is the Falls did not bite on the fake, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter where the score is tied at 21.
Ball will be on the 41. 3rd down and 8 for the Grizzlies. They'll turn around and go the other way.
So really it's been a pretty even ball game through the 3 quarters, but it hasn't been played evenly, if you know what I'm saying. It's one side goes out, the other side goes out, the other side comes back. As far as 3rd quarter stats are concerned for Wadsworth, Hoover is 7 for 18 for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Tricome now has 7 carries for 42 yards rushing. Before he went out, the big gainer was Matt 4, who had, I believe, 127 yards on 14 carries. But of course, he's finished for the night. Putting the ball down now. Wadsworth is going to have a 3rd down and 7 or 8 yards from the 40-yard line of Cuyahoga Falls. Ref's getting everything lined up. The Falls is still in their huddle over there on the side. Now they're breaking the huddle and coming out. As I said, 3rd and 8. They're marking it 3rd and 7 now for Wadsworth on the 40-yard line. And this is going to be a big play because at 40 yards out, you still might want to punt the ball. So Wadsworth would very much like to pick this up, and they're in the shotgun this time.
Hoover looking for some help. Can't find it. He's going to run around the end, stays in bounds, finally pushed out at the 36.
I'll tell you, it was too bad that he couldn't see Adam Copeland because he came wide open on about the 15-yard line at the top of the field. But at this time, Hoover was scrambling for his life. And another thing that happened was that Ben Bugis had gotten behind all the defenders. If Hoover had been able to throw the ball deep, they might have had something there. But once again, it was very difficult because he was just scrambling all over the place. That's going to bring up a 4th down and 4 on the 41-yard line. This is the 2nd time that Wadsworth has gone for it on 4th down. Let's see what they do.
Mike Hoover, short drop back, turnaround, catch by Copeland for the 1st down.
That was very close to an interception. The defensive back, number 20, made a move on the ball, and if he had intercepted, he'd have had a touchdown. But Copeland ran the perfect pattern. Went went down just far enough, and Hoover, to his credit, got the ball there, and the defender was just half a step too late. So this is very impressive. Wadsworth keeps the drive going, and if they went for it on 4th down there, you know they're going to go for it on 4th down all the rest of the way down.
Tricome finds a hole on the left side, and he's tackled by number 31, Brian Miller.
He ran for 9, maybe 10 yards, and they might have another 1st down. I don't know, depends on where they stop. No, he got a 9-yard pickup. So that brings it down to the 20-yard line. And Wadsworth has really had great success on the ground, and you got to give a lot of credit to that offensive line. They just seem to be, in the second half particularly, just moving the Falls out. Back to the I formation. They only run the shotgun a couple times, and I think only on 3rd down.
Hoover, quick pass to Brink. And Brink got away from the first tackle and took it down to, the 6-yard line. That was that little quick pop pass to Chris Brink.
14-yard pickup. If you're a small safety or a small cornerback, you just don't want to see Chris Brink coming at you. Brink is listed as 6'3", 203 pounds. And when he gets the ball among the defensive backs, he's just going to bowl them over, and he just plowed his way down to the 6-yard line.
Wadsworth looking to take the lead again. Pitch to Joe Tricome.
Very close.
Brings the ball over the goal line, but the ref is going to say he was down before he could outstretch the arm for the touchdown.
So the ball's down. It's got to be on like about the half-foot line. See where
Second and goal for Wadsworth.
They're actually marking it about a yard away. But yeah, you called it right. His knees hit, then he lunged forward and got the ball in the end zone, but by then they had called him down. So 2nd down and 1. Would you punt on this play? I don't think so. They don't have Galford in, so they're not going to punt.
I look for Hoover to keep it himself.
Full house backfield.
Hoover doesn't keep it, gives it to Tricome. Stopped short of the goal line. 3rd and goal, Wadsworth.
That was awfully close. They're lining it up now inside the 1-yard line. Boy, where that's spotting up, it just couldn't be any closer to the goal line without being a touchdown. So here we go, 3rd and 1.
Nate Stone, the senior, runs into the ball game, and he will be in the full house backfield along with Tricome and Moeller.
Everything's in there really tight now.
And there's what I was looking for, and he's pushed across the goal line. Wadsworth Grizzly touchdown.
You know, I don't think that touchdown was by Hoover. I think he hit the line, and then the whole line surged forward and dragged him in. There wasn't any opening there. Everything kind of like stopped for a second, and then the whole pile went forward and put Hoover in the end zone.
I called it a play late.
Yeah.
Or play early.
Play early. So you got to credit the Wadsworth offensive line for that push, that they moved the Falls back just enough to get him in the end zone. Now the extra point.
Hannah, the holder. Galpert puts it up and through the uprights.
I hope that the Wadsworth coaches are not looking at the scoreboard, because it says that the Falls has 78 points. I mean, the Wadsworth has 78 points, not 28. Now they got it to 27-21.
And they're going to, let's see. There
it is. Okay, 28-21. So that was a fairly impressive drive by Wadsworth.
9:29 remaining in the ball game.
And now Hoover is 8 for 19 with 162 yards, and he has 2 touchdowns, 1 passing and 1 rushing. Tracomie, 9 carries for 56 yards. Wadsworth had 10 first downs this half. So they seem to be doing what they want to offensively. We've got 9:29 to go. I would say right now the burden has to be on the Wadsworth defense. What they have to do is they've got to come out here and stop the Falls right now. I don't think you want to have the Falls get another touchdown. If they march down the field, they could run maybe 5-6 minutes off the clock, tie the game with maybe 4 or 5 minutes to go. That's not what you want. So the big burden right now is on the Wadsworth defense to get a 3 and out here and put that Wadsworth offense back on the field. Galpert tees up the ball on the 40-yard line.
Craig Meganhart deep for the Falls.
Good kick.
Fielded by number 23, Joe Franchino. He's dropped it to 25, where the Falls will start with the ball 1st and 10.
That was Steve Robertson down there, I think, to hit him. Was that number 4, Steve Robertson? Right there, did a good job of getting down and covering the ball carrier and to keep it from getting many yards. So the Falls takes over deep in their own territory on the 26-yard line, and the clock is going to start to become a factor now. We have 9:23 left to play in the 4th quarter, 28-21 Wadsworth.
Thompson gives to Freilich.
A real nice tackle there by Delnos to stop him from getting many yards. I think the Wadsworth defense will give you that every time, give him maybe 3 yards, but they don't want him to bust the big play right now. Actually picked up 4, so it's going to be, no, they're marking it 3, 2nd and 7.
Doug Perigo, the sophomore nose tackle, was there on the play too.
A correction on the stats. Hoover has 2 TDs passing and 1 rushing. I had him just 1 passing and 1 rushing. It's 2 and 1. So we have 2nd down. Actually, they've made it 8 yards, 2nd and 8.
A reverse play by the Falls. Meganhart, he gained a few yards on that. Didn't fool the Wadsworth defense too much.
That picked up about 6 yards, and it's going to be a 3rd down and 2. And here we have a real big play, 3rd and 2 for Wadsworth. If they can stop the Falls here and force them to punt, they get the ball in halfway decent field position and, again, have a chance to run time off the clock. But if Falls gets a 1st and 10, keeps this drive going, that's not what you want to happen. So 3rd and 2 on the 34.
Josh Miracle, the center, now in the defensive line. Freilich rumbles across the 40 to the 42.
And he picked up about 8 yards on the play. That's the 3rd first down for the Falls in this drive. In this half, the 3rd first down. So Falls now has 1st and 10 on the 41-yard line, 7:53 to play.
And the Grizzly defense getting a steady diet of Scott Freilich, who spins away. Ian Formaz finally runs him down at the Wadsworth 40.
And I'll tell you, as a defensive coach, you don't want to see one of your linemen making a tackle 20 yards downfield. Some very, very good running by Freilich on that play. He now has 120 yards rushing. And watch it there, just breaking tackles, spinning away there. And like I say, Formass comes way downfield to make the tackle. And right now, the Falls is doing pretty much whatever they want on the ground. The Wadsworth is going to have to come up big right now and stop. They don't want them getting any closer than this. 1st and 10 on the 40.
Fralick again, spinning away and getting away from more tackles, and he gets a touchdown for the Falls.
Boy, they made it look really easy that time.
Boy, he just, the last few carries, he just really bursted out and took care of business for the Falls. They can tie it up now with the kick.
40-yard run, and like I say, this is taking on aspects of a track meet. Each side is getting the ball and just marching down the field. You have to expect the Falls is going to make this extra point. He hasn't missed one all year, and that would tie the game if he makes it at 28 with 7:08 to go.
Point is up right through the middle. Tie game at 28 with 7:08 left in the ball game. So what do you do, Larry? You eat up some of the clock here and move the ball downfield?
Well, I think if you're Wadsworth, you've got to score, and no matter how long or how short a time it takes. The way these offenses are going, 2 or 3 minutes is going to be enough for either one of them to get up and down the field. So I would, if I were the Wadsworth coaches, I would dance with what you brought. I mean, they've got some stuff going for them that's working, and I'd keep doing that. And hope that you can punch one in or get a field goal and then say to the defense, all right, you've got to make the stop. You just don't have any choice. The first thing Wadsworth has got to do is get the ball down the field. And let's see this kickoff this time, if the ball goes in the end zone or not. How far they can get it out. We got Tracomie and Vujas going back deep to receive. Ben Osterlin back there with Tracomie to receive the kickoff. 7:08 left to go. Tied at 28. So they're lining the ball up to kick it off. I'm sure you people know in high school football, looking down the road, if the game is tied, we do have overtime. And what the overtime consists of is each team getting the ball on the 15-yard line, 1st and 10, to see what they can do. And after one team does it, then the other team gets the ball on the 15, and back and forth until somebody wins by a touchdown or a field goal. But let's hope Wadsworth can avoid that by a win. 55-yard kickoff.
Tracomie. One defender gets a hand on him. Tracomie very quick. Gets tackled by Evan Perro of Cuyahoga Falls.
Brings the ball out to about the 27-yard line, 28-yard line, so Wadsworth is going to start from there. And at this point, he's running up the middle, then he breaks left, and it looks like he might have a bit of room. But number 7, just waiting for him right there, manages to make the stop. If he had gotten by number 7, there was a lot of field to run in. Well, I'll see what Wadsworth comes up with now with 7 minutes to play in the 4th quarter.
Hoover's gonna run the ball with Tracomie.
Picked up about 5 or 6 yards. Most of that was on the line surge. Tracomie was just basically following the line as they pushed the Falls line forward.
Clock continues to run.
That's going to bring up a 2nd down and 5 for Wadsworth.
Mike Hoover going to roll right side. Finds Vujas, who just went down to the knees and made a nice catch across the 40-yard line.
He made a nice curl move. He ran down the field, drove the defender back, and just curled in underneath and was standing there waiting for the ball to be thrown. You watch, here comes Hoover now. If you could see, there was the curl right there, and just right in front of the defender. It was impossible to intercept and impossible to defend against because the ball was right there in his gut. So that brings up 1st and 10 on the 42-yard line of Wadsworth.
And to the up man, Tony Moeller. And that That fooled the Falls defense because Hoover quickly handed it to the up man fullback Tony Moeller, takes it to the Falls 38.
And the operative word there, Don, is right. It fooled the Falls defense. That quick handoff to the up back, and he was through the line of scrimmage before the Falls knew he had the ball. Referees are calling a timeout for some reason. I have a hunch that the chain broke again. Yes, they're
Okay, here's what we did last time.
the ongoing saga of the 10-yard chain. Well, looks like they got it fixed this time. Yeah, we're all set now. So Wadsworth has a 1st and 10 on the 38 with 6:09 to go. Wadsworth has 12 first downs in the second half, 17 first downs overall, and I believe Ben Fujis has, what'd you say, John? 5 catches? So 1st and 10 on the 38 for Wadsworth.
Tony Moeller showing some fine workmanship tonight for the Grizzlies at the fullback position. Pitch to Joe Tricomi. Pushed out of bounds at the 34.
Now they ruled he stayed in bounds, and the clock keeps running, so he picked up about 5 yards. And this, I think, is exactly what Wadsworth wants to do. Now here's the pitch out to Tricomi. Good lead block by Moeller there, and he just kind of rumbles for 5 yards. You can see the big push just shoving everybody back. And I think this Wadsworth would be happy to do this, keep running time off the clock and push the ball in. Right now, Tricomi has 12 rushes for 62 yards.
2nd down and 5, ball on the 34. Dropping back is Hoover, he's in trouble, stays with it, and the momentum of the defenders pushes Hoover back, but the ball will be marked a little further downfield than where the whistle blew.
Basically, it's going to be a 1-yard loss. They're moving the chain back. Hoover's a big, strong kid, and he's awful difficult to get down. There really wasn't much there. The defenders were in on him when he got back and set to throw the ball. And it was just a case of struggling forward and getting what you can get. So here's a big play for Wadsworth. 3rd and 6 on the 34-yard line.
And Moeller.
They tried the quick handoff again, but that time the Falls wasn't fooled, though he did pick up about 3 yards. And that's going to bring up a 4th and 3 on the 30-yard line. And you talk about big plays. This is one right here. What's Wadsworth going to do on 4th and 3? They've had success running the ball. They've had success throwing the ball. Maybe a quick pass would work. But again, this is where the coaches earn their pay, right here. Fans are on their feet cheering Wadsworth.
3rd time Wadsworth going for a 1st down on 4th down. They're 2 for 2 in 4th down conversions. Tricomi is stuffed.
Nothing there at all. The right side of the Falls defense was just waiting for Joe Tricomi. He tried to break it outside, but there was nothing there. So the Falls takes over with 3:50 to go. And the way they move the ball, that's plenty of time for them to get down the field. So the Wadsworth defense right now is going to have to come up big. That's all there is to it.
Keep your eyes on number 20 for the Black Tigers, Scott Freilich. He can break it open in a hurry and get it downfield in no time. And of course he gets it. Tries to get around the right end, steps back in.
Gained about 4, so it's going to bring up a 2nd and 6, and there's about 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play. I wouldn't guess that the Falls would want to play for overtime in a situation like this. I think they want to win it outright. In overtime, just too many things can go wrong.
Thompson drops straight back, and pass intended for Jim Lipinski. He almost reached up and brought it down with one hand, and Falls lucky a Wadsworth defender wasn't there to intercept.
Well, Lipinski's their premier receiver, and he runs that drag pattern across the center, and that's what Thompson was going to, his bread and butter, but the ball just wasn't caught. 3rd down and 7 for the Falls, and here's a big play for them, because if they don't make the 1st down and have to turn the ball over, that gives Wadsworth the ball back with plenty of time for them to score. So Wadsworth defense has to come up big here. And I would look for some kind of pass play out of Thompson. I don't think they're going to try to run Freilich on this play as well as he has been doing tonight. So defensive secondary for Wadsworth. Come on up big.
Dropping back Thompson. He's in trouble. Sacked by Matt Delnos. And at the last second, Freilich gets the flip from Thompson. What a tremendous heads-up play by the quarterback, Matt Thompson. Larry, as he was being sacked, he was halfway down to the ground, and he wisely flipped the ball to Freilich.
That was a 22-yard pickup, and you wonder, that was almost an in-the-grasp call, but the referees let it go, and it was an outstanding heads-up play by Thompson because he was stuffed. He was going nowhere. And those are the kind of plays that win ball games for you. And Wadsworth has to be disheartened now. They get in there, they ostensibly sack the quarterback, and all of a sudden it turns into a 20-yard game.
And now Freilich gets the ball. Takes it to the 41 of Wadsworth.
It's going to be a second down and about 5 yards to go. Make it 4 yards to go. 2:37, 2:36 on the clock. And you got to remember at this point in time, the leg of that kicker, that could make a big difference. Sabino's got quite a leg. That's 193 yards for Freilich on 25 carries. So he has been the workhorse tonight. And here we go again. The Wadsworth defense has got to come up big to stop this business.
Freilich, fancy spin moves, breaks out of some tackles.
Takes the ball down to about the 28-yard line. Freilich is running harder right now, I think, than he was at the beginning of the game.
Well, I mentioned, Larry, right at the outset of the game that Freilich just gets stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, you don't usually say, well, no, that's his 26th carry. You'd think by this time that kid's legs would be lead and they're just not going anywhere, but not so. He now has 206 yards rushing on 26 carries. The ball's down there on the 27-yard line. Talking about a field goal, 37. It would be like a 42-yard field goal, and I would think that would be doable for Sabino.
Wadsworth line jumps.
And they jump offside, and that's going to be a 1st and 5 for the Falls. And right now, the wheels are starting to come off the Wadsworth defense.
Well, Freilich now over 200 yards, and he has run for over 200 yards in the first 2 ball games of the season for the Black Tigers.
Freilich isn't that big. He's listed at 5'9", 170. Low to the ground, can make those cuts. That's his forte. He doesn't break tackles. He runs around and spins out of them. 1st and 5 for the Falls. And that time Freilich gets stopped by number 70. Rick Rice was in there, and saw number 71 getting off the pile. Jeff Dietrich stopped him, and he got stopped for no gain.
It's Ian Formaz on the tackle, number 77. And we have a Falls player hurt now at about the 18-yard line.
We're looking at the left leg or the left calf muscle of the Falls player here this time.
Is being blocked in and needs to get to the hospital. We need that car moved immediately, please.
And this doesn't look too serious.
Number 74 is Jeff Sharnsky, one of the key linemen for the Falls.
He's walking off. He's putting weight on it, so that's a good sign. Now we have 2nd and 5 for the Falls. 1:35 to go. So this is going right down to the wire here.
Falls threatening to score. They've got a 1.5 minutes to do so. Thompson is sacked, and he flips the ball.
No, they're calling
at that
it down.
time, yes, he was down that time.
Well, one thing I want to say about this, okay, Thompson got away with it last time. The referees are not going to let that happen because that's how kids get hurt. Okay, he's got the ball carrier right now. Now he is going down, and basically his butt was on the ground when he flipped the ball, and they're not going to allow that type of stuff to happen.
Jeff
that was
Hanna with the sack.
A great play, yeah. And he lost 10 yards on that play, so that's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 15, and the Falls has called the timeout. But to get back to that again, it's really tough, a referee's judgment call. When is the kid down? When is he not down? You don't want to let the play go on after the kid's down. That's how people get hurt with the 2nd hit and the 3rd hit. On the other hand, you want to give the kids the opportunity to make those great athletic plays. And like I say, Thompson got away with one before, but I don't think they're going to let him get away with that one, and they didn't. It's a tough call as a ref. I wouldn't want to have to make it. And it's going to make somebody unhappy no matter which way the call goes. So we have 1:08 to go now, 3rd and 14 for the Falls. And here's an interesting point. What are they going to do now? Are they going to try to get it all in one shot? Are they going to try to get it all in 2 shots? Are they going to try to pick up enough yardage just to try the field goal? Those are some of the things that you should be looking at. 3rd and 14 on the 34, that would be like a 52-yard field goal. Nobody's going to try that. But if they pick up 10 yards, a 42-yard field goal is probably doable by Sabino, even though he hasn't kicked one this year. He's been kicking all the kickoffs out of the into the end zone. So those are the things that are going through the Falls coach's mind. Wadsworth coach is just saying stop.
Big play for the Wadsworth defense. It's a pitch to Freilich, right side, and he will not get the 1st down.
He's going to be 10 yards short of the 1st down. The question is, did he get enough for the field goal try? So it's going to an 8-yard gain. It's going to bring up a 4th down and about 8, but that's not important. The field goal is what's going to be important. They're spotting the ball on about the 25-yard line, so that would be a 25-35, about a 42-yard field goal.
Sabino is partially off the bench and on the field. And here he comes.
I think Wadsworth took a timeout. I'm not sure. Maybe it was a referee's timeout. No, it was a Wadsworth timeout.
Only 1 second came off the clock there.
Well, he's pretty quick. Yeah, only 1 second came off the clock. There's some creative clock work. But to set things up, it's 28-28. They're going to try out, or ostensibly try, a 42-yard field goal. And, of course, if it's made, that would make it 31-28, and Wadsworth would get the ball back with about a minute to go. If they miss it, Wadsworth would get the ball on the 25-yard line with a minute to go. And I wouldn't put it past the Falls to fake this. I don't know how much confidence they have in Sabino. He certainly has a strong leg. He hasn't kicked a field goal this year. Don't know how accurate he is. So there's a lot of possibilities here.
Black Tiger fans, your football team will be at home next Friday against the Ellen Orangemen. Black Tigers are at home next Friday against the Ellen Orangemen.
Well, now they have the clock down to 57 seconds. That's more like it.
Yeah, that's more like it. And if he misses this field goal, this game seems to have overtime written all over it.
So Wadsworth next week, September 10th, playing at Medina against the Bees. Always a good team.
They don't seem to have as much this year as they usually do, though. They're still going to be tough, but they've been dominant the last couple of years, and they play in that Pioneer Conference with Brunswick and Berea, Mid-Park, Strongsville. Very tough conference. 45-yard field goal.
John Lehner to hold.
Now they're moving it up. I thought 45 was too far. Now they're making it 44.
They need to call a timeout. They do.
And I'll tell you, that can't do much for the confidence of your kicker. He's up there. He was standing by himself, as kickers tend to do, trying to psych himself out, and they come out and put the spot where the ball is going to be kicked from about a yard too far away. So that's going to kind of scramble his eggs a little bit.
Coach Ross halfway out on the field hollering, timeout, timeout. He finally got it, and now he's out in a huddle with his players.
It gives Wadsworth players time to get together a little bit, and you might be thinking, what are we going to do if it's a fake? Though I don't think it's going to be.
Our cameramen tonight, Tyler Doyle on the field, Dave Allman and Andy Levitt Also on cameras above us here in the press booth, our director is Ken Buck. Slow motion replays by Todd Constantine. And now we are ready.
You see on your screen 57 seconds to go. And it's going to be a 43-yard field goal by the time they finally figure out where they want to put the ball down.
Lehner takes the snap. The kick is up. It's a little short of the mark. Very hard to see exactly where the ball lands.
It was right down
here.
It was right down the middle. He wasn't going to miss it left or right, but it just came up a little bit short. So Wadsworth gets the ball back with 51 seconds to go, and they're going to get the ball on the, see where they spot the ball, on the 20-yard line.
A little short and off to the right, Larry, was the
I
field
think
goal.
the operative word is short. So Wadsworth has 51 seconds to go, 80 yards, and funny, this offense can do it.
Hoover barking out the play. Drops back, throws long down the middle of the field to Brink, and like you said, Larry, he's throwing a little long tonight. That would have been something.
Brink was about 2 yards behind the receiver at the 45-yard line, and the ball was just overthrown. That's the thing that impressed me about Chris Brink. I mean, for as big as he is, he can get behind those defensive backs, and if he had caught that, I don't think he would have scored, but Wadsworth would have had a 1st and 10 on about the 20-yard line. As it is, it's 2nd and 10 on their own 20. We now have 46 seconds to play.
Hoover again dropping straight back, has to go a little loose left, finds Tricome out of the backfield at the 37.
39 seconds to play. I don't know, I think Wadsworth has 2 timeouts if I'm not mistaken. A 14-yard pickup. Wadsworth is ready to play. There's the pass. Tricome gets the ball, gets hit right there and hangs onto the ball.
Tackle made by Sean Smith.
I think Wadsworth took a timeout. I think that's their 2nd timeout. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. It should leave them with 1 timeout. I haven't been keeping track of the timeouts. Be that as it may, 1st and 10 on the 39-yard line. Right now, Hoover is 12 for 25, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns throwing, 1 touchdown on a quarterback's keeper. But they've got a long way to go, and they've got 39 seconds to do it.
Congratulations goes to Mike Hoover for breaking the career passing yardage record here at Wadsworth High School.
And he's really come on in the 2nd half. He's completed 9 out of his last 10 passes. In the 1st half, he had a lot of completions, but I mean a lot of yards, but not all that many completions.
A lot of lengthy delays in the ball game tonight, Larry.
This has been a very slow one, yeah.
Been a lot longer than even any game I can remember from last year.
I also, yeah. This has been long.
Now we're ready. 39 seconds to go. 2nd and 10. Ball on the 35. Hoover again dropping back. Has to break away and falls down at the 32. Loses a few yards on that play. Clock is running. Offense in the hurry-up mode.
There just wasn't anything open deep. I mean, the Falls were just playing way back, and Hoover had nowhere to go with the ball. So maybe try to pick up 10 yards.
Hoover
here.
looking to throw again. Vujis is open. And interference.
Yeah, flags coming all over the field on that. That was clearly interference.
Number 13, John Lehner, was all over Vujis well before the ball got to him.
Now, in high school ball, interference is 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, so that should give Wadsworth a 1st and 10 on about the 45-yard line.
Bad thing, only 10 seconds left.
Only 10 seconds left, yeah.
Hoover may be able to get a couple long passes downfield off and make something happen. Otherwise, it is overtime.
The referee's marching the ball off from the line of scrimmage. Like I say, it should put it on about the 45-yard line. Actually, the 46. So 1st and 10 Wadsworth on their own 46 with 10 seconds left to play.
So we have 3 receivers.
One of these Hail Mary type situations to the left, you think? Or?
The lone back is
I'm surprised Falls doesn't have more defenders back deeper. They're almost playing a conventional defense. They've got 4 defensive backs, but they're not playing really that far behind the line of scrimmage.
Hoover throws it downfield, out of the reach of Brink, 5 seconds remaining.
That looked like kind of a miscommunication because Hoover threw it deep and Brink just kind of pulled up short. In any event, there were defenders behind both of them, so it didn't look like it would go for a touchdown.
You can see the scoreboard clock there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen.
So this is going to be the last play of regulation.
Greg Dent had come in to be the lone back for blocking purposes, I believe. And he's still in there at back, and Tricome now back at tailback. Hoover fakes the handoff. He has to get rid of it. He's just gonna run out of bounds.
And that's the end of regulation. So we're going to overtime. So I'll tell you the way overtime works. I think they have a coin toss. And then the winner gets to choose what they want to do. And each team in turn gets the ball on the other team's 15-yard line, 1st and 10. And they get 4 downs or a 1st and 10 to do whatever they want to do. And the 3 options, of course, you can score a touchdown, you can kick a field goal, or come up empty. And then after the one team does that, the other team gets the ball on the 15-yard line, and they get a chance to do the same thing. So really it's to your advantage not to go first, because if you go second, you already know what the other team has done.
But
and
if you go first and score, and you force the other team, so you can look at it both ways.
I'd still rather go second. I'd still rather go second. So the referees are standing. There'll be a little delay here. Just take a break and get everything organized before we go into OT. It's the first OT Wadsworth has had since the first game of last year, the Hudson game, which we didn't broadcast.
So I think we need to save some minutes on our tape, Larry. Let's take a break. We'll come back right before the overtime action starts.
Okay. I made a mistake before. I said the ball started at the 15. Actually, it starts at the 20-yard line. And Wadsworth will have the first try to get the ball in from the 20, so they can score a touchdown, they can kick a field goal. Whatever they do, and after they get done, then it's
Falls has to match or beat it.
Match or beat it, yeah.
Match
and
to continue the game, beat it to win.
Wadsworth called a timeout. You get 1 timeout in overtime, and they just called it, so. No, I guess not. I think they're waving that one off.
Wadsworth going to go into the huddle now. A big fat 0 on the scoreboard for the time clock because there is no time in overtime.
I'll be honest with you, John, I don't like overtime. I never have. To me, a tie is a legitimate statement. You went out and played as hard as you could, and that's it.
In high school, yes.
Yeah, I don't see any need, except like a state playoff game, to have overtime. Just take a tie, take your computer points and cut them in half. But after all this, I don't think this is a good way to end the game. But that's me.
And even if they do have to have overtime, I still like the sudden death, who scores first wins, not this format, but that's me.
That gets pretty long for the kids.
Osterland in motion for Wadsworth. Pitch to Joe Tricome. Takes it down to about the 11.
That was a 9-yard pickup for Tricome. We're not going to keep stats anymore for the regular game or anything. We're just going to call this as we see it. So there's a 9-yard pickup for Tricome. Makes it a 2nd down and 1. So that's a good way to start. Obviously, the clock is shut off.
Second and 1 for a 1st down. They get the 1st down, they'll get 4 more to try to punch it in. It's going to be a pass play. Hoover rolling to the right. Open in the end zone is Copeland. He had to dive as the pass was out of bounds.
Just overthrown. Copeland came pretty open, and Hoover just missed him a little bit to the outside. So that was a good call, though. It's 3rd down, 3rd and 1. Figure you got 2 chances to come back and pick up the 1st and 10. You might as well go for the 6th. I have a hunch this time, though, Wadsworth is just going to try to pick up the 1st down.
Tricome up the gut, and an extra effort. He leans forward and gets the first.
I think he's down on about the 8-yard line, so Wadsworth will have a first and goal from the 8-yard line.
First and goal for the Grizzlies. Ball being spotted on about the 9-yard line.
Copeland splitting way to the right of the line. Gugis in motion. And brought down at the 5 is Joe Tricome again.
That brings up a 2nd and 5. The yards get awful tough down there.
Ball, Black Tigers 5-yard line. Second and goal.
There you see Tricome just wedging his way forward, clawing for every little bit that he can get.
Hoover again rolling to his right. Again, tried to go to Copeland in the corner of the end zone. Pass tipped.
So far, Wadsworth has done the same thing both times. They run the first time, then they roll over right, try to get somebody open in that corner of the end zone. Now let's see what they do. They got 2 plays. What do? Do you run it 2 plays? Do you throw it 2 plays? Run once, throw once?
Third down.
Again, in the end zone is Brink. Jessup makes the catch. Nice athletic move by Chris Brink. He had a defender right on his back, and he had to jump up. Athletic ability of Chris Brink.
Athletic ability and size. That's where Brink comes in so big. He's so much taller than the defenders. He's probably 6-7 inches taller than the kid that was defending him. So look what Hoover does, just lobs the ball out there, and Brink just goes up and gets it. That was a great play on both ends. That's a very important extra point here.
The wind kicking up a little bit here in Arkwright Stadium. High snap, brought down, kick up and good. Galpert still has not missed an extra point on the season.
But I'll tell you, you got to give a lot of credit to Jeff Hanna for getting that ball down. That was not a good snap, and he managed to get up there, get the ball down so Galpert could put it through. So now the pressure goes back on the Falls, and they will take over on the 20-yard line, and they get their shots at the end zone also. And the way the defense has been playing, this could go on and on. By the way, there's no limit to overtime. You just keep going until somewhere along the line you get a score differential. We were just talking here before. I think the record for Ohio high schools is 6 overtimes. Mogador in a state championship game.
A couple of years ago,
it went 6 OTs before they finally won it. So this can go on and on.
Now Falls' turn in the overtime. They need a touchdown. And of course it goes to Freilich.
And he stopped for a gain of about 2.
A number of Wadsworth players in on that one. Freilich a little shaken up. No, one of the linemen shaken up.
One problem the defense has here is, of course, these are all 4-down territories, so you can't stop them just 3 times and expect them to punt. You're going to have to do it 4 times in a row.
Wadsworth fans stomping the feet on the new bleachers here at Arkwright, making some noise. Pitch to Freilich. Nailed by Jake Kurowski.
That was a very nice play by Kurowski. Got right in there, went head-to-head, and stood him up. Freilich did manage to gain a yard, but it's going to bring up 3rd and 5. So now things are getting very interesting for the Falls. What do you do here? They've tried the 2 runs. They haven't worked. Now watch this tackle. Hanging back, looking to pick his hole, and boom, right there. Great play. So 3rd and 5. The 2 runs really haven't worked.
Kurowski, junior linebacker for the Grizzlies. Nice play. Scoreboard saying 3rd and 6. Thompson in trouble. Has to get away from 3 Wadsworth defenders. Now he's going to come back the other way. Throw it. Touchdown Falls.
That is just great athletic ability by Thompson. I mean, he was stopped so many times, and how he managed to come out with that is beyond me.
3 Wadsworth players there for the sack. Couldn't bring him down. And I guess that's why he was brought in from Arizona.
Watch this. It's just unbelievable. Gets flushed right. Well, got to stop there. And now watch the hits that he takes and still doesn't go down there. Hit by Brink, dodges away there. Defender falls down. But the problem here is so many Wadsworth defenders have come up. There's nobody in the end zone. It was wide open. The kick is up, and it is good. So we
35-35.
We go into second overtime.
We'll fade down and save some tape. Overtime number 2. Falls will start with the ball first on the other side of the field. Freilich takes it down to about the 15.
So he picked up 5 yards on that. It isn't the Fall starting second because it goes back and forth. They had another coin toss, and I think Wadsworth won the toss and elected to go second, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a 5-yard pickup by Freilich, and that brings up second and 5. That was kind of a miraculous touchdown that the Fall scored there. I mean, just a great athletic ability by Thompson, too. You can't deny that. So here we go, second and 5.
Freilich again brought down behind the line of scrimmage by Matt Delnos.
That was a great tackle. That was the one they've needed from him all night. He busted through there and hit Freilich just as he got the ball, threw him for a 4-yard loss. So that's going to bring up a 3rd down and 9. And if the Falls doesn't make a 1st and 10 here, then they have to make the decision. Do they go for it on 4th down, or do they kick the field goal? And that's where the interesting thoughts come out. So here we go.
3rd and
9.
Matt Thompson, short drop back, gets away from Formaz, gets away from Brink, pass into the end zone, touchdown Cuyahoga Falls.
No, he was over the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. They're going to call that back. He was about 3 yards downfield before the ball was thrown, so that's an illegal forward pass and a big break for Wadsworth.
I also saw an illegal block by a Falls player that the referees missed. So
yep, illegal forward pass is what they're calling, and that's loss of down, if I'm not mistaken. That's like a 5-yard penalty and loss of down. So it's going to be 4th down for the Falls and about 25 to go. Referee's talking it over.
Well,
referee's still talking it over, but they signaled an illegal forward pass, so it's a 5-yard penalty. They're calling 2 penalties. They called an illegal receiver downfield also, I think. But anyhow, they're taking the illegal forward pass, which makes it 4th down and 20, and they're going to try the field goal. And this field goal is going to be 20-30, about a 37-yard field goal. And Sabino has shown that he can make them from this far. So they're going to try one from 37 yards.
Very interesting.
Sabino setting up.
Lehner waiting at the snap.
There it is.
Puts it down. Kick is up. It's high enough, and it's way right.
Oh, no. Good.
It looked right but we're clear up here, so.
Well, the referee down under there was no doubt in his mind that it was a field goal. It's kind of hard. Our angle's a little bit difficult. So what happens here now is Falls has gone up 38-35. Wadsworth gets the ball on the 20-yard line. If they score a touchdown, they win. If they kick a field goal, we go into the 3rd overtime. And if they fail to score, the Falls wins. So this is really interesting time for Wadsworth. They've moved the ball well. Now they've got to punch it in, and the game's over.
Yes, there's the replay, and now I can see that the kick is very good.
John's dyslexic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking between windows and everything in here. Wadsworth's turn. Give was to the up back. Tony Moeller.
He only picked up about 1, if that, so it's going to bring up a 2nd down and about 9 for Wadsworth on the 19.
Second overtime. Falls leading by 3, 38-35.
That fooled no one. They worked that up back run a couple times to good advantage earlier on in the game, but now the Falls has made the adjustment on that one.
Hoover being pressured. Finds Moeller out of the backfield.
He's down to
and he's
the
pushed
4.
out of bounds at the 4-yard line.
Great athletic move by Hoover to get the ball to Moeller. And there's one of those wrinkle plays again. Against Barberton, they didn't throw the backs coming out of the backfield. Moeller came out. What happened is the wide receivers took the defensive backs down the field. Moeller rolled out, and he was open out there in the flat and managed to take the ball down to the 4-yard line. And I think Cuyahoga Falls is calling timeout. Timeout. Falls.
Well, referees called timeout for the Falls. We'll take a timeout, be right back for what could be the winning play. Ball resting on the 4-yard line.
So Wadsworth has 4 cracks to get it in the end zone to win.
And a touchdown does win it. Hoover gives to Joe Tricome.
Oh, what a hit.
Hit hard and wrestled down at about the 3.
But he still did pick up some positive yardage. See where I think he got even further than that. I think they're going to mark it on about the 2. No, they're marking it on the 3, so it's 2nd down and 3.
Overtime number 2. Both teams scored a touchdown in the first overtime. Falls with a field goal here in the second. Now Wadsworth trying to win the game. Hoover rolling left. All kinds of room to get into the end zone. He flips it in, and the Wadsworth Grizzlies win.
Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland with the flip catch from Mike Hoover.
Oh, what a game.
As the Grizzlies storm Arkwright Stadium's field in a victorious manner. The Wadsworth Grizzlies now 2-0 on the season, and the dejected Black Tigers, heads hanging down, ready to walk off the field. Final score, Wadsworth 41, Cuyahoga Falls 38. Thank you, Larry.
Once again, it was a pleasure, and we'll see you next week at Medina.
So for the whole WCTV crew, we got to get out of here because this tape's about to end. I'm John Bernard. We'll see you next week from Medina. Wadsworth with a very great win here to go 2-0 on the season. Final score 41-38. The email address is grizzlytv@yahoo.com, right there on your screen. Visit us there. We hope you enjoyed tuning in to Wadsworth Grizzly football on WCTV. We'll see you next week from Medina. So long, everybody.